Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
I don't know, Stugotz, if you heard what Chris Cody just said to what might have been just me, because I don't know if he was talking to both of us or just me in the headsets.
Right.
But our erstwhile executive producer just got done saying to me, as I saw Roy being fitted for a powdered wig, I don't really know what we're doing today. That's something that he just said to me.
Leadership.
Seconds ago. We're about to start.
It takes a real leader to admit that.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people would fake it in this instance, and he's just like, I don't know what's going on, man.
Wondering what
Ready,
happened.
go.
Like 2.5 months ago, I was informed that we wanted to do this great show that drove voter awareness, registration awareness, checking your status. And I was basically just told right then and there, Chris is not going to EP this show. You're going to EP this show. And I was like, why? But I kind of get it, given the stakes and given Chris.
Plus, I'm down the middle, so you don't know where I stand.
This show is also down the middle.
I'm gonna take all in the information today. Just take it in, digest it, swallow it, and then decide. When's the debate start?
It's important to be apolitical on a show like today because, quite frankly, even though personally I care who you vote for, I want people to get involved in the democratic process, and sometimes people feel like they're not as important to it. Please get involved because the stakes are pretty high, and that's what we're doing. So today's going to be completely apolitical. We're going to be joined by Steve Kerr.
We are going to attempt before that to be apolitical. It's funny to think of us as apolitical while we're trying to revive something I thought was long dead, which is the telethon.
Apolitical what?
It's just one word.
Did you guys not think the telethon was dead? Is this a telethon? Are we doing a telethon?
Because it's a textathon, no?
It's being called a telethon, and I don't think we're doing those anymore.
You can't do a telethon without phone lines.
Okay, but there are texts. Is the modern, because we're asking people right now to text the word Dan to 57568, and all you're doing is registering to vote or checking your registration status. And we're going to give people, believe it or not, Stugotz, a chance to win a sports vacation where we're going to...
What?
Yeah, we're going to send somebody and a friend, travel, hotel, ticket, $500 of concessions and merch.
And you get to pick it.
You name the game and the team, yes.
Yes, except for playoffs. You pick the team, you pick when, and we will send you there. We'll fly you there. We'll give you $500 to spend. It's a great deal.
That's what Lucy does every weekend.
It's a chance to be Lucy. It's a chance to win. Now, when we say any game, it's not only just except for the playoffs. I'm assuming you can't go see Barcelona. Like, I'm assuming that you're not.
If you're saying any sporting event, yeah, right. It feels like a bribe anyway.
We can't use that word. Don't use that word. You didn't go to any of the meetings. That's a word
penalty box.
You cannot. Yes. Go ahead. Get out of here.
Really? I didn't know pre-show penalty.
Yeah, get out of here.
What's that number I text to? I want to win the prize.
You cannot say that.
Tell me the number.
You can't do that.
But I'm texting Dan right now.
No, you cannot say words like that.
Get out of here.
You did a major penalty. 5 minutes. Derailing.
Stay on message.
Text the number.
You don't know.
Check your
get us in
status.
trouble. Just get out of here.
There's rules.
Get out of here. Nobody wants your vote.
There's rules.
You don't vote. Don't vote.
Wow.
You everyone else vote. You don't vote.
Yeah, don't ever frame this as like an enticement to get involved here. Check your status. That's the important thing.
Just one quick thing. Red Rifle is back.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough. tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I'm pretty sure that's unprecedented. The pre-show penalty where Stugotz gets sent away because he didn't go to any of the meetings where any of the planning for today was discussed. Our erstwhile executive producer went to those meetings, but still does not know what we're doing today.
It's a lot, man.
Seems confused. Well, it's a lot for a lot of reasons. I saw Lucy. She's right out there, but she's not on the show today, which is super strange. We've got sad, tired, and a bit angry Abraham Lincoln in the back row. He said before the show that he thought that the beard make Kirk Cousins. The beard makes somebody, and in this case, it does not, because it does not hide Abe Lincoln's sadness. You seem, for a costume, you don't seem very merry here on voter registration, National Voter Registration Day.
So I'm sick of doing important work and having you dressed ridiculously. But I also know that this is vulnerable. Having a telethon is tough. Doing important work is tough. And when you're unsure of yourself, you want eye candy. And I know you will automatically feel much better about a show if someone's dressed up.
Roy, what are you?
Barack Obama.
Duh.
So you put on a powdered wig, and so you're an old-timey Barack Obama, and you're being called Baroque Obama. Why? Just because it sounds like Barack?
I just do what they tell me to do, Dan, at this point. And they told me to wear a suit, and then they stuffed a wig on top of my head. So,
yes. Just trying to get to the end of the play.
All right. This is what the play is. Okay?
I'm John Q. Public, in case you were wondering.
Nobody was.
And this counts as a grid of death payoff.
I'm down the middle, Chris.
He's Joe the plumber.
Can we get our timing right, you think? You think we can get our timing right? As a group that's worked together before, you think we can get that right? Yeah?
No.
So I'm asking you to text the word Dan to 57568, or you could visit headcount.org/Dan. The entire show is going to be live today. And all we're trying to do is make sure that you register to vote or just even check your registration status. Headcount will make sure you get the information that you need. It's a nonpartisan organization, Headcount, and so that's what we're going to be doing all show today, and we're going to be live all show. We're not going to stop to tape anything. We're just going to keep going all the way through. You're going to get all your Andy Dalton information live.
I want to underscore checking your status, because there might be people listening to us right now that are pretty certain they're registered to vote. However, they may be living in a state that has all sorts of screwy rules, and maybe they're no longer eligible for absentee voting. So checking your status is the best way to make sure you're still good to go, because every state is different.
Thank you, Abe.
Yeah, anytime.
Text Dan, the word Dan, to 57568, and just get in the game here for your chance to win a legitimately good prize, a sports vacation from our show, the ability to be Lucy. Like I said, like Mike said, Steve Kerr is going to be on later in the show, and Keegan-Michael Key is going to join us here in moments. But I have something legitimately funny to bring you guys that I did last night. I don't know if you ever do this. How often do you leave a game that you have bet on before the end result and leave it as a treat for yourself in the morning, as you will learn in the morning whether or not you won your bet or not? How often do you guys do that?
Every time Hawaii plays a midnight game at home.
Man, who are you talking to? All the time. 80% of my action is happening in Southeast Asia.
No, I'm not. I think you guys aren't understanding the question I'm asking. I'm not asking you how often do you gamble on games you're not watching. I watched the Monday night game until there were 2 minutes left, and I have come in this morning purposely checking just the score. I don't know what happened at the end of that game, but I went to bed thinking I was going to win Eagles minus 5.5
right,
with a field goal. I checked out, Stugotz. I have been using, I've had trouble sleeping over the last 2 years, and I've been trying a lot of holistic melatonin-type remedies in order to get better sleep. Mm-hmm. And at the 2-minute mark, I had nothing left. And so I'm like, you know what?
You were out of gas?
I'll find out in the morning how it is that I did. But where I left the game is what I thought was a really smart play by the Falcons at the 2-minute warning, on purpose, getting an offsides call so that you could automatically give Philadelphia the first down and not a 3rd and short or one of these things that they can get. And, they declined the penalty?
Nick Sirianni was like, no. I'm too smart for what you're trying to do. We want to decline. And then I'm not going to give it to a dude that's averaging 9.6 yards per carry and give it to Gainwell and turn it over on downs. That was lost by that coaching staff and Nick Sirianni, who appointed some of these coaches.
Yeah. Well, but before you get there, do you understand my confusion? So let me walk you through this.
You're wondering how you lost.
Stugotz, I didn't even see the penalty declined, okay? So I'm learning that now. I turned it off, and I'm losing the bet. Because at the time, the Eagles are only winning by 3, and I've got them minus 5.5. But they're clearly in field goal position. Atlanta's got all their timeouts. So I'm assuming Philadelphia's not going to get a first down. They're just going to run the ball 3 times and kick a field goal. They might try to get a first down and just end the game, but they're not going to throw the ball. That's not – there's no way they're going to throw the ball. They'll take the field goal, and they'll make Kirk Cousins go the length of the field with 30 seconds left.
They threw the ball.
Well, so this is my confusion. So imagine my confusion this morning when I'm checking my phone just to see if the Eagles have won by 3 or by 6. That's all I'm checking for. And I'm looking through a foggy sleep. Wait a minute. How did the Falcons win that game? It's not possible that the Falcons won that game, not seeing it.
Eagles ran into a buzzsaw by the name of Primetime Kirk.
Yeah.
What happened? What did he do at the end of that game?
He grew a beard, and he looks like a different person, and all of a sudden, he's more confident. Growing a beard gave Kirk Cousins something that has eluded him his entire career.
Yeah.
Aura.
Yeah. Mike's right about that.
No, he had aura on that plane when he was wearing the chains in Minnesota.
I guess.
That was aura.
No,
shirtless.
Well,
when he took off his shirt, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, well,
hello.
How about Washington? How do you like me now? He had some aura there.
That was, you like that. Yeah,
that one.
What he said.
Is that a fine?
But everything that was confused.
How do you like me now?
Everything that was projected as aura was really just us laughing at Kirk Cousins. He was the butt of the joke.
Right.
But he grew a beard.
Yeah.
And now no one's laughing.
I know. Dan, what happened was on 3rd down, they threw a pass to Saquon Barkley that should have been caught, in all honesty. He dropped that pass. They then kicked the field goal, and the Falcons came down, and they won the game. But had he run the ball there, it would have run out a lot of the clock, not all of the clock. And it's the logical thing to do, and Nick Sirianni probably lost his job because Belichick is lurking.
Truth be told, Atlanta made it down the field so easily and quickly that I don't even think them milking the clock more would have mattered.
It was a double too much time left on the clock situation. And then Jalen Hurts threw a bad interception.
Yeah.
I'm legitimately surprised given the weekend of constipated offense that we saw and what I watched throughout the entirety of the game. How did Kirk Cousins go easily down the field? Is Billy blaming Fangs? Is he blaming Fangs?
Oh, Fangio sucks.
Bad day for Fangs.
Wow.
It's been a bad 2 seasons for him, really. He's lost it, right? Whatever he had, whatever aura he had, I think is gone. I don't think anyone believes in him anymore. Do they? Does anyone?
Kirk looked different. He looked different in the 2-minute warning. When they have a full drive, they don't look the same. You get him with 2 minutes to go.
2-minute drill,
he looked totally different.
Yeah.
And it was the beard that made him look so different.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Did the beard give Kirk Cousins aura? And what else are you claiming about beards in general, Mike? Are you saying this should be on the poll as well?
Everyone should grow a beard.
But doesn't Sirianni have a beard?
Yeah, but there's just too much to overcome with him.
Right.
Well, what's not being mentioned here is the unsportsmanlike penalty at the end of the touchdown that sent that extra point 15 yards backwards.
Yeah.
Shooting the gun in the fake shooting the gun in the air. That's not a good look.
But they overcame it. I mean, it could have sent the game to overtime, Dan, and then you may have, won against the spread.
What also is not being mentioned is I think the first scoring opportunity the Eagles had on a 4th down, rather than kick a field goal to go up 3-0, they decided to go for it. They didn't get it. It's 0-0. Had they kicked that field goal and converted, then the field goal in the fourth quarter would have made sense because that puts you up 9.
All right, let's not keep
He's
this
fired.
man waiting anymore. Please stop doing that. You're
Well, what
just
do you
going to
mean?
do that with every coach, every weekend. You're going to do that. Belichick, you're going to replace him with Belichick. Belichick was good on that Manning cast last night.
Philadelphia.
Belichick was bitter about Atlanta. Clearly and angrily bitter because they didn't hire him after 2 interviews. He's still holding a grudge. But let's not keep Keegan-Michael Key waiting any longer. We have not talked to him since we obsessed over that remake of Predator that he was in. And I legitimately believe this man is as talented as anyone who's doing anything in Hollywood. So I'm always thrilled when he makes time for us. He has been an advocate for voting rights, so he would tell you as well to text Dan to 57568 to be part of our register to vote, or check your registration status here on National Voting Registration Day. And he's also in Transformers 1. So, Keegan, it's nice to see you again. Thank you for making time for us. We have come a long way in these Transformer movies. This is an animated one, and it's getting great ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. We've come a long way from the Megan Fox days of Transformers.
Dan, good to see you. Good to hear you. I love everybody's amazing look here. Can I just talk about this? What's with the wig? I want to just talk about this wig for a second.
I wish you wouldn't. You
wish I wouldn't?
Well, it's just a bad idea, poorly executed. But Roy, if you'd like to explain to a really talented person how to do entertainment poorly the way we're doing it, please explain why you're wearing a powdered wig.
I am supposed to be Barack Obama. And I was told to dress up in a suit and wear a wig today. So, yeah.
So you did execute. You did execute it.
I
you followed
executed it,
orders. Yes. So you actually. I love the word execute because it sounds like it sounds like someone has done it well, whether they've done it well or not. You just say, I executed the order. But I mean, okay, now I'm satiated. My curiosity is satiated.
Yeah, no questions about Abraham Lincoln, though? No questions about sad, angry Abe Lincoln?
I'm pretty straightforward.
Sad, angry Abraham Lincoln.
What question would you have?
You look like a vicomte from Dangerous Liaisons. That's what he is. Like he should be going to a duel or something like that. It's funny. We have come a long way. I was trying to figure out that first Megan Fox, Shia LaBeouf. Was that 2007?
I don't know.
I think that first movie was 2007, and so it's been. This universe has been around for quite a long time. The interesting thing is, it's actually been around. If you're someone like my age, it's been around for 40 years. Because I used to watch the cartoon when I'd come home after school in 1984. And it's been a real fantastic and it's been an honor really to be added into this franchise, especially during this film.
I figured you'd be too old. Weren't you a teenager about the time that you're talking about there?
I was a teenager. I think so in 84. So in 84 I was 13. So I was watching it. Yeah, I was coming home from junior high and watching the show. And then I also went to go see the animated movie in 1986. I went with my friend Dave McFarland. I still remember my buddy from high school, and we went together to go see the movie, and we were super excited. And the most jazzed thing we got like hyped up about was that somebody swore in the movie, and it was a really random off-camera swear. There was like this one human character who used it, like cursed, and we were both in the movie theater going, "What? You just said the S word." It was crazy because it was this random thing in the middle of this animated movie. Right in the middle of this animated movie, this guy just drops an S-bomb, which you don't hear very often. Everybody drops an S-bomb almost every day.
I always have a lot of questions for you about your career, and but I will play a clip. Let's play a clip here of the movie Transformers 1 that features his character. And I will say, I don't even know if he's a classically trained actor, but he does song and dance and can do Broadway and can do anything in acting.
I imagine that might be highly offensive if he actually is.
Well, I just don't know.
I believe he might be.
I just don't know if he's got classical training, but he comes off as somebody who absolutely does.
I am a classically trained actor, so there is that.
We are now playing the clip right now. We are playing.
Did you start out in the theater?
He's just standing there looking like smug Abraham Lincoln. He's like, I believe he is classically
Did you start out in the theater?
I'm sorry. I got in the way of the clip. I'm sorry.
Theater.
I was just going to do an assassination joke. Just get it moving.
Let's play the clip here for the classically trained Keegan-Michael Key.
You can call me B or Badassatron. It's a nickname some of the guys gave me. I don't know. I didn't give it to myself or anything. Actually, it's pronounced Badassatron.
Have you done a lot of voice work like this? Have you done a lot of voices in movies? It's a different kind of acting, right?
It is. It's a completely different animal. But I've done several animated films, and I've done a lot of voice work, which is really fun because you kind of get to be a little more exaggerated when you do animated work and voiceover work, because you're trying to vocally match how exaggerated the cartoon looks. And so it kind of gives you license to be really broad and go overboard. But what was interesting is I find myself, when I do a lot of voiceover work, trying to give myself a challenge to cover up my voice or disguise my voice with, a lisp or an accent or something. And in this one, it's really kind of bare bones. It's really just me. It's kind of like a higher, energetic, youthful version of me, but it's still really kind of just me.
Do you have a kind of work that you enjoy the most? I don't know. I imagine that most people want to talk to you about Key and Peele, but I don't know what you would say is the thing that you like doing the most.
I absolutely loved being on Key and Peele. There's no doubt about that. But the thing I love doing the most is live theater. And I think probably because you get instant feedback from the audience. I mean, when you're making a film or a television show, you can be having fun with your colleagues and your coworkers, but you can only guess how well it's going to be received by an audience at home or in a movie theater. Whereas when you're there live with the people, there's this wonderful synergy between you and the other actors, you and the audience, you and the crew. It's such a wonderful, exhilarating experience. It's like sports. It's like you're playing the game of the play. And that's something that I really enjoy, probably the most.
Live theater, not a fan.
Not a fan.
Well,
you haven't seen, Dan. You haven't seen the right shows. That's what it is.
well,
you haven't seen the right shows.
I'm a fan. Abe Lincoln's not a fan of live theater because of what happened to him.
I missed it. Yeah. Of course.
It's okay.
Well played.
He got shot in the head.
Played.
Right.
Yeah. John Wilkes Booth.
He was killed,
Yeah.
There
At the
was
old
that.
Ford Theater. Yes, sir.
When people want to talk to you about your roles, what are the things that they want they want to talk to you about the most?
Absolutely, number one always is the substitute teacher. They want to tell me that they have a friend named Balake or Jay Quellen or D Nice, or my name is people say, my name is Aaron. You ruined my life. Thank you. So that's usually the thing that thing caught wildfire years ago, and it's still going strong. And there some kind of magic happened, and we're not sure why, but we love it, and I think we're blessed that it's taken on a life of its own. So that's the thing people talk about the most. Yeah.
When you say you don't know why, when you were in these things, did you know? Because I imagine it was a lot of fun to do that and enormously hard work as well, in a way that people might not understand.
Yeah, it's interesting that, Dan, one of the things that's so fascinating about our job is that there's very little science to it. You never know what's going to catch fire. And the only thing I could ever put my finger on, the two most popular sketches on Key and Peele are both about names. It's about switching people's names, changing people's names, or highlighting the fact that people have unique names. And I don't know what to attribute that to. I'm not an anthropologist, or a psychologist, so I don't really have a take as to why. But there must be something. The thing is that sometimes the stuff that you have the most fun doing will be the least popular thing. And sometimes something else that you do, you go, oh, that was pretty good. And then it somehow blows up. There's really no rhyme or reason to it.
You
can't-
never
it's hard to
know. You never knew. You never knew breaking up laughing and doing something that would be the one that echoes.
I never knew, because I remember when we did that substitute teacher sketch, I remember thinking this is a super solid sketch. And at that point in time in my life, I'd been doing sketch for 12 straight years. And I thought to myself, this is a really good sketch. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to play it. I actually thought to myself, I'm going to play it as seriously as I can. I try not to wink at the comedy, because it's always very important to me to remember that the characters in the sketches or the movies or the TV shows, whatever I'm doing, they don't know they're in a comedy. So you have to remember that they don't know. They're just living their lives. And we didn't break up a lot. We improvised a ton in that sketch, but we didn't break up. We didn't laugh a ton. It just was like really well done. We had no idea that it was going to get into the public consciousness this way. And then there are other sketches that I did where I thought, God, this is so much fun. It's got to go well. And it did. So yeah, there have been times. There actually have been times, now that you mention it.
Well, how about this one? Because Barack Obama, the actual Barack Obama, not our unreasonable facsimile in a powdered wig. I want to put side by side in B-roll here. You guys were making fun of, and it was funny, of Barack Obama. Jordan Peele was handshaking and dapping up white people and black people differently. And Barack Obama, go ahead and run that for Keegan-Michael Key so that people can see that Barack Obama seemed to be doing this with NBA basketball players on purpose, but I'm not totally sure that he was it's the same thing. So tell us what you're watching here, how he shakes Steve Kerr's hand and how he shakes everybody else's hand.
I love that somehow, I don't understand why, but I love how somehow Steve Kerr is more black adjacent than the other coach. The other coach, like that Steve gets the hug. It's so funny to me that, and I think, maybe I'm being naive, but I feel that what the president is doing, the former president is trying to make everybody feel culturally comfortable. And so it's actually, he's like physically code switching, which is it's a fascinating cultural phenomenon that we have. But anybody, it's funny. I'll meet other black people and it's like, it's hugs all around, a complete and perfect stranger. And it's just hugs all around. And he knows what I'm talking about. Powdered wig Obama knows what I'm talking about.
Do you miss Key and Peele at all, or is it you're all about growth in your work? It's obvious. So is that something that you miss, or did it live and do its useful thing for you, and then you moved on to other things?
I think the way that you just put it is perfect. I think that it lived its useful life. Key and Peele always holds a place in my heart. It's very special to me and to my life and what it's done in my career and helped me do in my career. With that said, if there was, if there ever was talk of a reunion, I would probably more than likely say yes to that. I enjoyed working with Jordan so much, and we enjoyed each other professionally and creatively on such a profound level that I would love to do it again. But it was a season in my life, and I think it kind of served its purpose.
Have you talked to him about whether he'd be as interested in that as you are? Because everybody would love that.
We have discussed it. We've talked about it lightly, I should say. And he kind of is where he is, and I am where I am. But if I remember correctly, the last time we discussed it, Jordan said everything in its right time. So if the time comes back and it seems like it's right for us to do it again, it'll present itself, like the universe will present it, and then we'll pursue it. So yeah, we do discuss it sometimes. I was just with him this last weekend. We had dinner and with our wives and had a wonderful time. And I miss him because I live in New York. He lives in Los Angeles. So I miss him. So if that opportunity came up and it was right, I believe we would do it again.
Transformers 1 is in theaters this Friday. I really will watch him, whatever he's doing, because he is so wildly creative. Stugotz wants to ask you a sports question.
Well, I asked the important questions, okay? What do the Lions have to do to bounce back and beat the Cardinals this weekend?
I think, first of all, Aiden Hutchinson, I think that those 4.5 sacks came at just the right time. I think it boosts his confidence because I think he'll stay after Kyler, and I think that he'll get to him a couple times. I mean, I know how nimble Murray is, but I think he'll get to him a couple times. This is how I chalk it up, and this is not it's just my own personal opinion. I just think that Jared had an off day, much like he did last season during the Thanksgiving game. He just had an off day. And those last throws at the end of the fourth quarter, like when the clock was going down, it was just like they were lackluster. I think that when that happens to him, he always bounces back. It really kind of was on his shoulders. He just wasn't having a great performance, and I think he's going to be fine.
That was a disaster. They were one for seven in the red zone. How do you get only 16 points when you've got 463 yards?
Yeah, that is a conundrum, and that is a concern of mine. But I feel like the bounce back is going to happen this week. I feel like it could be a shootout, and sometimes I think Ben Johnson thrives during a shootout. So I think it could be a shootout. I'm thinking about those two secondaries, and if everybody slots in where they need to, it's going to be a really entertaining game. My God, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Yes.
This kid just arrived.
Yes.
It's always nice seeing you.
He did arrive. I was debating that yesterday.
Yes, always nice seeing you. Always nice talking to you. Again, Transformers 1 in theaters this Friday. Thank you, Keegan. Nice seeing you.
Thank you. You too, Dan. It's always a pleasure. Take care, Stugotz.
See you, buddy.
Let's get back to sports here. Diana Rossini is the senior NFL insider for The Athletic. She's got a new podcast with Chase Daniel. It's very popular. It's very good. Scoop City is what it's called. And she's also our working mom insider.
Oh, yeah.
One of the very few, I think, are there any other working mom insiders doing the Schefter Woj thing of 20 hours a day? I have to be connected to my phone at all times.
I know. I was checking out my screen time the other day just to look at it, and I was like, this is so bad. This is really bad. This is unhealthy for my brain. This is unhealthy for my lifestyle. I mean, most moms are managing the screen time of their own children, right? Because you just stick that iPad in front of them so you can do something, accomplish anything. I need to manage myself at this point. So no, I don't think anyone's doing it, although I do think moms and dads that are working in the NFL space kind of feel this commitment to having to be on all the time. I mean, just look at the Panthers yesterday. Out of nowhere, we were shocked that the Panthers made this decision to bench Bryce Young. I did not see that coming. I don't think anyone did. Does it make sense when you talk about the Carolina Panthers doing this after 2 games? I mean, yes, but in the moment, if you're just spending your Monday afternoon doing whatever it is that you're doing and you cover the Carolina Panthers and that breaks, your whole life is in shambles. And mine was too yesterday.
Well, I was texting with you recently and you were doing your job and you said to me, hey, I got to get back to you because one of my kids put my wallet in the microwave. So, I mean, what are you doing? Explain that to us.
Because you guys have known me so long, I'm just a walking hurricane, right? So, the way I can keep myself organized is I have a wallet that goes on my cell phone. You know what I mean? So I keep my license and my credit cards on my phone. I never take it off, ever. I always keep my phone in that case. And for whatever reason that day, I decided to take the wallet off of the phone. So I took the case off and put my phone on a charger and went back into the kitchen where my sons were just getting ready for dinner. And my oldest, my 3-year-old Mikey, took the case, put it in the microwave, and it's like toddler height, threw it in there, pressed start, and walked away. I didn't know that he did that. Oddly, right around that time, my little guy likes to blow out candles because he thinks it's everybody's birthday every day. So he had just blown out a candle, just as this is all happening at the same time. My husband comes in the house. He goes, what's all this smoke? Oh, Joey blew out the candle. He, happy birthday to whomever it was that day. And he said, no, there is a lot of smoke, a lot. So he opens up the microwave and the phone case and all my credit cards caught fire. And truthfully, guys, I just think that was my son rebelling. I think he was he associated that wallet with my phone. It was I'm over it.
Yeah,
I'm over this
funny.
thing. I'm going to cook it.
That's funny and sad and terrible.
Well, the first question I asked her was, is the phone okay? Not the kids. Is the phone okay?
The other one, the one that's not putting things in the microwave, Joey, is regularly playing with fire and candles.
I never thought about that being a concerning issue, but I'm glad that, this is why.
Chasing down Bryce Young stories. I mean.
It's a group effort. It is a group effort to manage these children while I'm doing this job because I never considered the fact that it is very bizarre, odd, and unsafe that every day after school, I let my son blow out the candle in our kitchen because he just loves birthdays. He loves his own, too, because every time we have to do the fake song just to keep him happy. And we just say, happy birthday to Joey. So technically, Joey's 190 right now, based on how many birthdays we've celebrated. But just the collision course, Dan, of all of it, just the fact that I allow the 1-year-old to blow out the candle, the 3-year-old's cooking my phone. My career's probably cooked now because of it. And I'm sure Child Protective Services will be now.
I'm not even kidding when I ask you what level of panic sweeps over you when you can't have a phone for however many hours, a phone with all of your contacts. I know you could back it up, and I'm sure you've backed it up. Well, no, you didn't tell me you didn't back it up.
What?
So recently I checked that because I had another situation where my phone was in my pocket and I was picking the boys out of the tub and it fell out of the pocket and went right into the water. And we've all been there, right? You've all dropped them in the toilets, in the sinks. Every human being has been there. And you're like, no. And I pull it out and I ran downstairs to find a bag of rice, do the good old rice trick. You all know that now, right? You stick your phone in rice, you let it sit there for a few hours. And I'm just praying and hoping the phone goes on. And my husband goes, what are you freaking out about? We'll get you another phone. You have all your stuff backed up. I'm like, Kev, I don't think I have it backed up. I don't remember the last time I did it. It's like, oh my gosh. Well, the phone turned on, thank goodness. So between that moment and the fire, we did back it up. So I'm good. But I will say the fact that even my own husband's reaction when he pulled the microwave open, right, to go, what is in here? What is this? What is on fire? He's like, Diana, it's your phone case. Oh my God, your phone. I'm like, no, don't worry. My phone's in the other room. So the parental guidance here is not going well because everyone is very concerned about my phone and not the safety of my children. But I will say Mikey now walks by the microwave every day and goes, smoke, smoke. I'm like, yep, smoke, Mikey.
So you just left the kids in the bath? I mean...
Oh, yeah. We just, they're safe there. Water's safe.
Water and fire, both of them, totally safe. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Have you ever dropped your iPhone in the toilet?
Oh, the worst.
You mentioned Bryce Young and the shock of that, and I saw a lot of people trying to be very supportive yesterday with the idea of his career is not over. But he better be awfully strong given what the Panthers have done to him, like in terms of his grooming in this sport, because I feel like it could be done if he's not really strong.
So I've got a couple issues with the situation there. And we could probably spend the whole show going through this organization in a deep dive in terms of the stuff I know and the stuff that you guys can just casually see as viewers of the game and seeing how they're making these decisions, starting with just the infrastructure, how this organization has been built. It's easy to laugh and say, what a joke. But the reality is it's not run well, starting from the top with David Tepper, who is involved in all of this. And Dave Canales was brought in here to fix the quarterback and to improve it after he went through a lot in his first season with Frank Wright at the helm and a lot of different voices in his ear. So here we are now headed into week 3. They benched their number 1 overall pick. But I just think we need to highlight that we're talking about the number 1 overall pick. 2 years ago, there were discussions happening all across the league. Should the Panthers go for Bryce Young? Should the Houston Texans perhaps go for Bryce Young, knowing that they wanted a quarterback in this draft? So how quickly things have changed. So you're telling me now Bryce Young is broken after everyone in the league said this kid was amazing, that he was great in the meeting rooms, in the classroom, on the field. Now he's too short. His build is too frail. He's not big enough. His footwork is horrendous. What happened? What happened between the draft and right now that it's this bad?
The Panthers happened.
The Panthers did. And it's correct. And look, there's going to be some accountability from Bryce Young here too. There has to be in terms of what did he not do? And you have to put yourself in his shoes, which is why I think he needs to go to the front office and say, I want to trade. Like, I don't know if this is beneficial for the organization, but what you guys have put me through here, it's not right. It's not fair. So now you have to think of this or look through the prism of the team of, all right, well, what are we doing? And I've had people ask me too, well, maybe this is a mental rest. Maybe they're just going to take a break, work on him, improve him. No. That is not, you don't do this. You don't make a move like this to just take a mental break here, siesta, to figure out how he's going to get back, because the mental damage is going to be there. It's there. They obviously haven't been able to find an answer. And so now it's Andy Dalton's team.
Did you enjoy Belichick as much as I did on the Manning cast yesterday? Not just that he had the space to break down football in a way I'm not hearing anywhere on television, because there's not the space for it for someone to be as brilliant as Belichick is in that space. But also because he clearly is mad still that the Falcons interviewed him, made him interview twice and didn't hire him.
I'm so glad that you saw right through that, because I don't think everyone did, because I saw a lot of responses to him talking about that game and Atlanta. And I think Bill is brilliant and he can play a mental chess match with anyone. And I think it was tough for him. All right. I think the temptation was, Peyton put him right there, just set him up beautifully to be like, let it rip, Billy, let it rip. And he did. Yeah. Is there frustration from Bill Belichick's point of view that he had this job? Guys, this thing was moving in the direction I was reporting. Bill Belichick is going to be getting this job after a couple more meetings. He was getting his staff together. And then all of a sudden, it was a Saturday afternoon, I got a call. And this thing just shifted. Straight up hard right turn. And you have to wonder what happened. Well, Bill knows what happened. There were voices in the ear of the owner that prevented him from making that decision, Arthur Blank, from saying Bill Belichick is taking over the team. And the voices won. And Bill was on TV last night talking to him about that, because he knows and he wanted the world to kind of know, yep, that was my job, and they messed it up.
Bob Kraft was one of those voices, according to the reporting of Don Van Natta and others.
Yeah, I think Rich McKay had a big say there. He has a lot of juice in that building. I think there were a lot of people who did not want Bill Belichick to take over their organization, because that meant that they were going to be out of a job. And I don't know. I am not an expert on, did the Falcons make a mistake by not hiring Bill Belichick? I can just tell you what I know in terms of how it was tracking. And so it goes from Bill Belichick to so close to getting this job to now walking around the link with Matt Patricia right behind him, which, by the way, Matt Patricia, onions, walking around the link after you were fired just 7-8 months ago. I think that's wild that he had such courage. I don't even like to go to Philly after a loss, and I have nothing to do with it.
But he's with Belichick.
Just the general energy, just the energy of it.
Yeah, I just don't want to be around those people. Like, even just this morning, my husband said 2 words to me. He's an Eagles fan. And I'm like, this can't be a thing. Like, I don't want to be the household that is shaped by the result of a football game. Like, A, grow up. B, you're a father. I don't want our children having a culture where mommy and daddy's tone in this house is based on the result of the Philadelphia Eagles. Who cares? So stupid.
Isn't it a case, though, where while we don't want daddy to be moping around because the Eagles lost, we also don't want mommy moping around because she missed the call on some offensive coordinator breaking news?
Like, the house is on fire.
I bring it up all the time. I say, I don't care about the wins and losses.
Right.
All this house should be focused on is how to give me ability to do my job at a better level. I've asked him to quit. I'm like, I don't care about your job. I don't care about your career goals. I don't care that you work 50 hours a day.
Poor
and
guy.
That you have contributed really. He gives everything to the company. He works for Shake Shack. He does so much for this company. I want him to quit, but he won't do it because something about just like personal growth or something.
Your fights,
whatever it is,
your
he said.
fights
Right.
must be so good.
Oh, she always wins.
But they must be so good. I'm imagining your fights as being sort of cartoonishly funny.
We laugh a lot in this house because if we don't, we're going to get a divorce because there's so much pressure in here just from, and I say in here because I'm in it right now, because it's created by me. He is tremendous at lazy rivering my personality. He learned early, I think probably talking to my dad, like, just let it go. Just don't react to her. She's got to have meltdowns and scream and yell. but it's give and take. And I probably have to do a better job of giving, but I got to break stories.
That's the most important thing. Is Nick Sirianni in trouble?
I think Nick Sirianni is going to be in trouble all year long. I think he kept his job because Howie Roseman believed that he is a coach that has had success and deserved a chance here to grow a little, make an adjustment, which the adjustment is, hey, I'm handing over all the play calling and the offense to Kellen Moore, and I'm now going to be the CEO. He's a true head coach now, overseeing it rather than being all in it. A game like last night where there was some questionable decision-making by him, I think the pressure is immediately turned up because we know the leash is so short. Because last year they had an opportunity with, look, Bill Belichick is walking around the link. Like if you're Jeffrey Lurie, you're going, just switch it. Just do it now, right? He's not doing that. He's not saying that. But
he's thinking.
I just think with this coaching cycle, guys, and I'm so glad I'm joining you every week because we're going to probably talk about it so much. Just with the sharks in the water right now, with the team, with these guys who are available, who are going to be able to step right in the second it goes bad, it's definitely making a lot of head coaches uncomfortable this year.
Stugotz, I regret falling asleep at the 2-minute mark, not because I didn't get to see the result of the game, but because I didn't get to hear how insane it must have made Peyton Manning and Belichick to see the end of the game managed that way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it must have made them crazy.
Yeah, it's actually my favorite part about Peyton Manning. He's got tons of skills. Obviously, he's so talented. But I appreciate how much he hates bad football. You know, and whenever you're talking to, we'll call him the losing coach on Sunday night or Monday, as a reporter, and you know, you're kind of going through a journey with them emotionally, listening to all the gripes of the game and the plays and the decisions that they wish they could get back. The dumb football is the stuff that I think is just burns into the souls of these coaches, and obviously players and coaches like Bill Belichick, where those small details are what changes teams. And it's why there should be so much emphasis on game management, even though it can be kind of boring to the average fan. So to hear Peyton Manning, the greatest at probably it, and Bill Belichick also obviously great at game planning, to see the decisions made by Nick Sirianni last night, you know, just take the points, Nick.
Diana, nice to see you. Go take care of your family. Take care of the important things. Get your priorities in order. Scoop City is the podcast she does with Chase Daniels. She's the senior NFL insider for The Athletic. You will hear her on God Bless Football and here throughout the season. Thank you. Nice seeing you. Always nice seeing you, Diana.
Great to see you guys. Thanks so much. And thanks for the parental counsel there. I appreciate it.
Keep stuff out of the microwave that's electronic.
Happy birthday to Joey again.
He has no
again,
kids and he knows
again,
this.
And again.
Yes. We've still got sad, angry Abe Lincoln back there. We've got powdered wig Barack Obama. I'm not sure why we're calling him Barack Obama. Is it because you can sing deeply in our musicals?
If it ain't Baroque, don't fix it.
Look how happy he is with himself, even though it doesn't make sense. It's got like, it's Ron Burgundy of Anchorman. It doesn't fit where he put it.
No, it fit perfectly. You were questioning why we're doing it this way.
Yeah, Greg's right.
It's working out well. I mean,
it's habits, right?
Text Dan to 57568 or visit headcount.org/Dan because we are doing a telethon, even though I don't think we call them telethons anymore, about registering to vote and checking your registration status. We're asking you to take action now for a chance to win a sports vacation. I think that Stugotz he keeps texting from everyone's phone because he wants to win this. I don't think one of us can win this. I don't think one of us should win this, but you can get 2 tickets to a game of your choice, a team of your choice, except for the playoffs, and I think except for outside the United States. Travel and hotel, you get $500 for concessions and merch, and it's not going to cost you anything. Like, it really is the easiest thing in the world to do, to text the word Dan can to 57568 and tell your friends. And if you tell 3 friends, you'll have 3 more times chances to win. So can you guys tell me what happened with Chris Cody's friend Peter Burns of ESPN?
Holy crap. This was a crazy story. Peter Burns, he's a SEC football guy for ESPN. He filled in for you guys a few times over the years when we were there. That's how we got to know him. And he's just a cool guy. And I'm scrolling through Instagram last night, and I see him doing a thing, and I start watching harmlessly. And he starts going into this crazy story how on Saturday night after their broadcast, they were out at some barbecue joint with Greg Sankey was there, the SEC commissioner, and they're shaking hands, having a nice important dinner. The dude just started choking on a piece of steak, Peter Burns did, and he had to have people come over. Multiple people tried to give him the Heimlich. He started seeing blurry and started thinking about his kids and how he was going to die until some big Iowa fan came over from another table and fractured 4 of his ribs to finally get the steak out of his throat. It was just it's one of those things you think about it with little kids. You're like, oh, you gotta make sure you don't choke on that. I haven't thought about adults choking ever. It's just it's not something you really think about.
I do every Sunday.
But it's a crazy story of just a guy in a group setting almost dying.
Yeah, 1 minute and 45 seconds that lasted
Terrifying.
of him trying to, and many people tried to get the steak out, and that's how he cracked so many ribs. Is everyone took a turn essentially trying to save his life, and just as he was losing hope and things were starting to black out on him, they finally got the steak out. He was really emotional talking about it, not super emotional, but just grateful because he's dying for essentially 1 minute and 45 seconds, and he's trying to balance all those different things. It's a wild story,
and he loves the SEC as much as anybody I know. I can imagine that this is not the worst way to go out, though. If you did in front of Greg Sankey.
It's pretty bad. You're more impressed by the SEC commissioner than anyone else in the room
saying,
was.
What a random thing to be like. It was like a throwaway line. He's like, yeah, we were at this barbecue joint. Greg Sankey was there, of course. And it's just
Have you ever been around that happening in real life?
Oh, I have not, but what he's
Greg
describing.
Sankey, Ooh, what a presence. You want to talk about aura.
What Chris is describing is horrifying. It must have felt like so much longer. That's the longest 1 minute and 45 seconds of his life. Stugotz has a top 5 list of top 5 athletes whose names connote Election Day.
Yep.
Billy is ready to debut a new segment that he's saying that Thomas, who none of you know, is very excited about.
Yeah.
And Mike has a choking story that we didn't get to that we should have gotten to in the last segment. So we will get to all of that in a second. But first, I'm telling you to simply text the word Dan, if you can hear me now, to 57568, and you will have a chance to win a sports vacation that is, tickets, game of your choice, team of your choice, travel and hotel, $500 for concessions and merch, and it's a chance to win a sports vacation. Or you can go to headcount.org/Dan, and what we're doing on National Voter Registration Day is just getting you to either register to vote or check your registration status.
I want to seize on that because covering your own hiney come voting time is a big deal. Just have peace of mind because every state is different. Some of these states are actively trying to subvert and make this process even more difficult. Sometimes people get lapsed out. So why don't you just check your status, thanks to our friends over at Headcount, and have the presence of mind. And if you aren't what you thought you were, that website will also provide steps on how to make sure you are registered to vote in what is a really important election.
Roy, I continue to be totally confused by what it is that you're going for.
So am I, Dan.
He looks like Rick James if he were alive today.
Huh.
If it ain't Baroque.
He looks like Brian May.
Thank you.
I feel like if anyone should know what you're going for, it should be you.
Again, I just do what I'm told, Chris. I was
exactly
told to come
right.
in a suit and a wig, and that's what I did.
He's got the Obama thing down, and then you put a wig on it, and it's Barack Obama. Play on words.
Time now for Stugotz's top 5 athletes whose names connote Election Day. Do we have an OLI, or is it
we have several, Dan.
All right.
Yep. Tashard Choice. Like that one, huh?
That made me smile.
Yeah.
The first smile I've had all day.
I told you not to break character. I told you to stay.
I'm not in character. I'm genuinely
Abraham Lincoln.
Genuinely miserable. I hate dressing up. And the reason why I hate dressing up is because as I've aged, I've gotten bigger. And anytime I have to wear a costume, it's like, make sure you get a dress shirt. I'm like, I don't want to get a dress shirt. And so they just got me a dress shirt, and then it's a large. And I haven't been a large since sophomore year of high school. So all of it is deeply uncomfortable. So,
Right.
But I haven't had to play a character. Dan knows how I've aged, and I just don't like doing this anymore. But Tashard Choice did bring me a glimmer of hope and happiness.
Good start to the list.
Chad Pennington.
Chad.
Hanging Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deion Branch.
That's how I referred to most of his passes that Dolphin season when he finished second in MVP voting. Just hanging passes.
Thomas Party. I think it's Partey, but for the sake of this segment, Party.
I'm glad you mentioned that because
Thomas Partey?
Yes, because
Oh.
some of you might have thought that Jason Kelsey last night. Can you put this in picture, please?
So good.
That he was at a party, but he was not. He was at a partay for sure. Like this guy this guy enjoys his life.
Big difference.
in a way
Yes.
big men rarely do.
Yeah.
He was also really good
Yes.
at the in the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
And we've thrown out theories because I don't know if you've seen the reports. The Manning cast ratings have really fallen off, badly. And maybe they just need to breathe new life into it. The concept is what it's always been. But Jason Kelsey went into what I think is a real reason as to why the Manning cast is down. Is because the Monday Night Football broadcast has improved so much with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. And Jason Kelsey, he really shined. It made me want more of that 3-man booth.
Stump Mitchell. Michael Gallup.
It's a good list.
Number 5, Darryl Talley. Number 4, Calvin Booth. Number 3, Early Win. I don't know how old Early Win is.
I'm not sure about that one.
What do you mean? Early vote. Okay. Winners, losers.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean,
Number 2, Dick Pole.
That's not how he spells.
And number 1, my list, Campaign.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. That's a good number one.
Great list.
Campaign is
Yes.
excellent. That's one of your finest number ones you've had in a while. Billy, are you displeased, or were you the one who produced it, and therefore your face suggested something less than pleasure at campaign?
No, it was a good list. It was a good
Okay.
list. Yeah.
Dick Fool.
Thank you. I miss that.
Well,
Dick Fool.
Well, you'll be happy to know that this Friday, the first episode of the oral history of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz drops, and you may hear a familiar voice.
I thought you said earlier this week that you weren't going to tell anybody what the big surprises are on that. People are going to
I didn't.
love that.
I didn't give away that the big voice is going to be featured in it.
Dick Fool.
Billy, I have very much enjoyed you watching, and you've seen this. You've seen the delight on my face because you and Thomas, every once in a while, you're huddled in a way that feels like you're conspiring on creativity.
No, I don't want to do this to him, but Thomas is a pest, and he's always bugging me with these ideas. And it's like, can I just eat, please? And he's just always buzzing about. So it's really just him pestering me a lot of the time, if I'm going to be perfectly frank. But I'm Billy, so.
Okay, so thank you, Frank. So you're Logan Roy. Stop buzzing around. You're yelling. Stop,
I don't know who that is.
On Succession, he yells, bleep off. Stop. When he gets mad, he
Played by Brian Cox.
The guy from
really?
Super Troopers.
No, the middle linebacker from the Miami Dolphins.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
What is the new segment?
Oh, okay, I'm glad you asked this, Dan. So I wanted to do my part. I heard about this textathon that we were going to be doing here. So, in preparation of this, we sent Thomas to the Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention. And we said, you know what, we're going to be right down the middle. We're going to cover both conventions. And leading up, to the election time, I figured people want to hear from politicians. People want to hear from representatives, senators, and the like. And what do they want to hear from them? They want to hear from them who they think are going to win certain football games. So we came up with this idea, and it's a game called Bet the House. And then hold on a second. And then here's the thing. There's the thing about Bet the House. We were pulled into a meeting, and we were saying you can't advise people to bet the house because if they lose, they could lose their house. So I said, hold on. Wait, no. So the segment is called Bet the House of Representatives. Just a second. And here's the thing. We couldn't get a ton of members of the House of Representatives. So then this one is going to be called Bet the Senate of Representatives.
All right, so there are a lot of liabilities and legal issues.
It's time to bet. The Senate of Representatives. Let's bet. The Senate.
Okay, I just want...
It's time to bet the House of Representatives. Yes. The Senate of Representatives. Bet the Senate. Senate of Representatives. Bet the Senate of Representatives. Bet the Senate of Representatives. Football. Bet the Senate of Representatives. This week's guest from the state of Vermont, United States Senator Peter Welch. We got a big one in the big house as the USC Trojans take on the Michigan Wolverines. Senator Welch, who you got?
Michigan is a very important state for us, so let's go with Michigan.
I want to tell you what I delighted about most, seeing that all play out on television. I'm watching Jason Kelce dance to that music while Barack Obama stares blankly ahead, not knowing why he's dressed that way in a powdered wig.
I just do what they tell me, Dan. I just
You
came in
mentioned
with
that,
some- and, yeah.
but in the humor of everything I'm watching, Abraham Lincoln's not even a part of the festivities. Like, I'm watching and I'm laughing at the stupidity that Thomas and
What?
Billy have put together
What do you
there.
mean?
That's
Peter
the
Welch thinks there's a big upset this week in the big house.
Yeah.
That's the whole segment.
Bet
That's
the
it.
house. Yeah.
That's it. That's
bet the Senate or
It's
representative.
not bet the house. I was told the segment was bet the house, and then you're telling me
Well,
that
because
for
he's a
legal
senator.
reasons,
Yeah, no. So
Don't want to lose your house.
The
yeah.
Senate of Representatives.
Right. You mentioned that. Mike, your choking story, because that had to be for Peter Burns a horrifying minute and 45 seconds, the longest of his life.
Yeah, you got to do what Danny Tanner does, chew 24 times. But this, I was actually in a room where this was happening. I was at my favorite steakhouse. I'm actually going there this weekend, Burns in Tampa.
Yeah,
And you know how
delicious.
they have like different dining rooms. In my dining room,
Right.
there was someone at a table that was choking really badly on a piece of steak. And he had people at his table trying to help him, and they were failing. And so I'm there with a fork and a piece of steak on
I
the
just
floor.
picture Mike like cutting a piece. Someone should help this guy.
Yeah, well, I kind of got frozen, and I was just watching the spectacle, and my instinct was to help, say, help. We have someone choking over here. Luckily, a hero at the table next door got up. I guess he worked in medicine or something, because he said like something to that effect. Got up behind the guy and saved his life. And then he sat back down. He was on a date. The guy looked so badass. Me, by comparison, not. I was just kind of shell-shocked by the entire thing, and then just kept eating my steak. But it's a weird way to have a date night with your wife, I got to tell you.
In your defense, though, I don't want somebody doing the Heimlich on me if they've never done it before. And I guess in a setting, you're not going to get a lot of people with experience, but there's got to be like the right way to do it. And
Right.
if
It's like, I'd rather die than suffer
if
a
it's-
fractured
But
ribs.
if your only choice is someone who doesn't know how to do it, you'll take it.
But
Are you,
just, like,
are
at least
you
they're
choking
trying.
and waving people
Right.
off
This
like,
guy's
no, not you?
He's like squeezing my
you.
upper abdomen, like it's just
No,
he doesn't know
no.
the right place to do it.
Right.
I need someone who knows. That's why you got to yell in that spot. Is there a doctor in the house?
You can't.
Right.
You're
You're
choking.
choking.
Not you. That's what you should have
Well,
done.
I
You
mean-
should have stood up. Is there a doctor in the house?
No, he should have
crazy.
done something.
It was crazy because like something was like to that effect was screamed, and there actually was. What a
There
hero.
always is. There always is.
That Peter Burns story was crazy because he was basically saying he was running back and forth between people that said they knew what they were doing, and one of them was a nurse, and the nurse couldn't get it out, and then just some random fan came up to him and dislodged it.
Well,
Yeah.
that random fan had just been trained in doing that. I guess he was a coach and was part of like the training for Little League to have someone do that, and it's a good time. Much like you're checking your status today, if they have it available at your workplace, take that course because you never know when you can save someone's life or just break their ribs and fail at saving their life. But hey, you gave it a shot.
Or just continue to eat your steak. Do nothing.
Diddy is in a world of trouble. There's going to be a press conference at some point in the next couple of hours, but his freedom is over for a while. No matter who his lawyers are, it would appear, but we will get more information as that story develops. I don't believe in the history of our show there has ever been a number one in a top 5 list better than Cam Payne. I believe that's the best it's ever been done on athletes whose names connote election day. As part of what we're doing, National Voter Registration Day today, and it is nonpartisan, you text Dan to the number 57568, or you go to headcount.org/Dan, and either register to vote or you check your registration status, and the result is you will get a chance to win a sports vacation. You name the team, you name the game. There are some restrictions there with the playoffs, and I think out of the United States, but we will get you and a friend there with hotel, with airfare, with tickets to the game you want to see, and that can be any game. So there are going to be some that are really valuable games that people are going to have a hard time getting tickets for, and it's going to be on us to get those tickets for you. And it's $500 in concessions and merch, and it's the easiest thing to do. It's just text the word Dan to 57568, tell your friends, and it'll give you multiple chances to win.
And we wanted to make this a fun little competition, too, because if you saw more people getting involved, you'd realize, oh, this is pretty easy. All we want is for you to check your status, whether or not you are eligible to vote. And if you're not, go ahead and go through that process. And that's why we're doing this. So how do we further incentivize that? Why don't we get states to compete and see who's better? And our partners over at Headcount said that they could actually track how we're doing per state, which is huge, especially with so many crucial swing states. So we even got Jeremy involved. He's got a player, Steve Kornhacky, and he's got a big old whiteboard. But there's only one thing that is missing with our whiteboard, and that is state lines. Wow. As you can see, we have a map, and we don't have any state lines.
Why don't we have state lines from Steve Kornhacky?
Because I thought of a bit. So here's what I want to do, and I've kept this bit secret. I've been so excited for this bit. I want Stugotz from the top. Close his computer right now, and take away his phone. I want Stugotz to draw in the state lines completely from the top of his dome.
Are you kidding? You think he's good at geography? I'd have trouble with that. I'm not any good at geography.
I want him to, if he thinks Maine is somewhere, I want him to draw the state lines of that. We need 50 states. 2 of them are already given to you in Alaska and Hawaii. And I realized, this might be really unfair to just Stugotz. What if we contrasted his skills with someone who's known to be smart? And Pablo Torre, if you ever spoken to him for 5 seconds, you know that he went to Harvard because he can't stop talking about it. So I figured this could be really good if Stugotz actually holds his own against someone who is known to be super intelligent. And Pablo also had no idea we were doing this bit. And I thought it would be also pretty funny if he was bad at it because he's an intellectual, you see? So we're going to do that. They're both going to draw the state lines.
Wow.
All right. So
2 of the states are in different places on these maps, though, not to be argumentative.
Okay, well, it's going to be a flawed premise, but yes, he was Phi Beta Kappa at Harvard, and he will tell you that at any point.
I feel pretty good about my knowledge of geography. I do. Like Trivial Pursuit, Dan, after I go to the orange, I go to blue next because that's geography. That's my second strongest category.
All right, well, do we have an upset in order? Is Stugotz going to go out to the other room with Steve Kornhacky and see how I don't think he's going to get much outside of California, Texas, and Florida.
Well,
Billy,
don't give him hints.
Billy's by naming the states.
Yeah, that's enough.
Billy is making faces.
Drawing the lines is so hard. Like, you could know where the states are, but knowing exactly where the lines are is going to be a challenge.
Especially when you get up to the Northeast. But I'm also curious to find out what Pablo's reaction to all of this is, because I think he may feel attacked that we're going to try to make him the butt of the joke here, and I am trying to do that. I want him to look stupid.
I don't like this. I do not like this, for the record here. People have been ruffling papers around everywhere. I did not know what was happening, and this is a total lose-lose situation for me. If I win, I beat Stugotz. in a competition of intelligence, great. If I lose, I am the dumbest person at Meadowlark Media.
That's right.
All right. How does this work? How are you going to be the game show host? Pablo, we'll talk about this later in the show. I was thrilled last night, legitimately thrilled to watch Pablo win with epic punctuation, Celebrity Family Feud. It brought me a happiness that I cannot tell you a game show has ever brought me, but we're not going to talk about that.
No, we're not
right
going to
now.
talk about that. What we're going to do is...
I thought we were going to talk about that. That's why I was here, very enthusiastic. Instead, I've been pranked.
Yeah, we're just gonna
thanks.
we're just gonna laugh at your expense. So we're just gonna get started. This is something I don't want to do play-by-play of this because that's not super entertaining. This is gonna be just stimuli if you're watching along on our YouTube page or any of our other wonderful platforms such as Peacock. And we're going to have this going on. As you know, I'm dressed right now as Abraham Lincoln just because Dan constantly needs eye candy to get these gimmicks over. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to check back, and we're going to progress with your status as it's going live.
All right, so this is how we're going to do this because we do not want to alienate the audio audience, but we're also doing a totally live textathon, telethon for the next 2 hours. We're just going to be on live doing this, and we will check in with Steve Kornhacke. Should I check in with him now, or did you just set this up in a way that makes him irrelevant?
No. Steve Kornhacke is going to try to go through Stugotz's state lines when it's all done.
He needs a map to work with.
But he needs a map, and so Stugotz is going to draw that map. We will check in with Stu and Pablo periodically, but we're going to continue doing our show as they try not to embarrass themselves.
Okay.
The middle top of this map looks like we're missing Great Lakes, it looks like.
The maps are different. It appears that the maps are not the same. The one that Stugotz has is slightly different than the one that
Pablo's
has.
looks better.
It does look better, but we will check in later with them. And Pablo is right that this is a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, we are off to a great start.
Stugotz is main.
Just to be clear, Stugotz and I are like sad cam girl pop-up windows drawing the electoral map of the United States as you guys do a normal show.
Why are you laughing?
We're not even
at Stugotz, Chris, because he's already put Maine in the upper left-hand corner of the United States.
I think he did Maine in the top right, but it's the smallest Maine I've ever seen.
Hey guys, he's doing all right, and remember, he's listening along, so don't give him any hints. You're doing a great job, Stugotz.
Yes, keep it up. We will check in with them momentarily, and again, telling you to just text the word Dan to 57568 because when their maps are done, we will be showing you, thanks to the people at Headcount, how we're doing in terms of getting people to sign up to register to vote or to check their registration status. I do want to go back, though. Do you guys, can you get me some clips, please, of Pablo Torre last night? And it is spoiler alert, but it aired last night. So it's not a real spoiler alert. It can't be spoiler alert on a Celebrity Family Feud that already aired. My wife asked me when this was revealed last night, she says, well, is this a family that Pablo is a part of? And I'm like, no. And she's like, so it's just strung together Asian people who are not related as a family? And that's exactly what Pablo was on, a team of Asian people who he needed to win at the end. John Legend was on the other team of legends. And what Pablo did at the end has to be the greatest feeling that someone can feel in game shows. On the last answer, getting a number that allows them to have 150 points because he needed to get 150 points at the end. But let's just show a couple of the clips from last night because I felt genuine enthusiasm and excitement just being anywhere near being able to watch it. Let's see some of this.
Pablo Torre, award-winning sports writer, podcaster, and ESPN host. Nice to meet you, Pablo.
Awkward handshake.
Why not Meadowlarkers? Like, why didn't it say that you're a Meadowlark employee? Like, why?
You think I control Steve Harvey? You think the takeaway from what you're about to see is I am in control of the most television person in modern television?
What kind of handshake was that?
I was trying to express dominance. And so you can see it's a really hard pump. Really hard pump.
Nailed it.
Yes, I did not get dominance from you except when you were playing at the end of the game because, yes, you shook his arm
look at that.
so vigorously.
Look at that.
His arm, you've made Steve Harvey's arm a pool noodle.
That's right. 90 degrees, Steve. 90 degrees.
Who was the sixth person that was not on this team? Like, who didn't make the cut in terms of famous celebrity Asians?
I wanted a token white guy, and I was outvoted.
Tim Tebow.
I wanted Gronk. I wanted Gronk. I wanted Tim Tebow. Yep. But they wanted a bunch of overachieving Asians, all of whom turned out to confuse America as to why they were not related to each other, when that seemed to be a thing we as a people wanted to avoid as a caricature. But no.
Let's see another clip from last night's Celebrity Family Feud.
You need 37 points. Name a coin you throw into a fountain to make a wish. You said the penny.
Yes.
Survey said.
Oh my God.
Why?
65 points.
That's as happy as I've ever seen Pablo. There was a hip thrust. There was sensuality in his loins.
What was that dance at the end?
He was so confident. That's the most confident Pablo
I think he
I've
got
ever
caught
seen.
up in between because I think he wanted to celebrate with Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey wasn't turned to him. Pablo, is that what happened?
That was a sea walk. That was a sea walk. This is before the Kendrick thing, by the way. We taped that in like April. So just FYI, I was ahead of this. I am actually the person who got sea walking on national television before Kendrick Lamar.
It's still
I wanted you guys to know.
It's still very early on in this competition, but it is clear as Pablo navigates also an interview in the middle of it that Pablo's Harvard education is really helping him out. When you contrast it to Stugotz, can we check in with Stu?
Stugotz is struggling.
This you know.
Listen, when I was at most of these places, I was on shrooms going to dead shows. I don't remember where they were. I mean, I got a little Lone Star stayed here. That seems like the right spot, right?
So Stugotz just wrote Sphere, where I believe Las Vegas is. Yes. Or Nevada, I guess, is supposed to be.
Yeah, that's a fine. Yeah.
Speaking of mushrooms and being high, here's Pablo Torre clearly high on Family Feud.
You can do what's never been done before. You can make history as the highest second contestant ever in the history of Celebrity Family Feud.
He was seeing right through you there, Pablo, huh?
I mean, I've never wanted to stare directly into a camera and wink more than I did in that moment.
Steve Kerr is going to be on with us later in the show, and we're going to stay live the entire time on YouTube. It can't be a telethon, right? This isn't a telethon. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Are we still doing telethons?
Who put this in your head that this is not a telethon? You're going to air. You're committed to a block of several hours trying to do good. That is a telethon, if I've ever seen one.
I thought the telethons had to involve landlines and phone calls.
No,
there had to be texts, not texts, phone calls.
Is the tele for telephone or television?
Guys, who cares? It's just like we're doing good work here.
All right, stop with the rage-filled
It's just
Abraham
like,
Lincoln.
I mean, come on. You're just sucking all the air out of this. It's been a really good show.
Wait a minute. I'm not disputing that it's a good show. I'm disputing whether or not this qualifies as a telethon.
It does. It hits the standard of we're trying to do good for an extended period of time. We're doing it live. There's a number to get involved for the people. What are we doing?
All right. The number, though, is not a phone number. It's a text number. It's
a text. That's a phone.
But if you do call that number, to Dan's point, it's not going to take you where you're.
We want you to text it.
Yeah,
I'm going to see what happens.
We're
going to call it.
It's a good idea.
It's 57568.
Now you're confusing the people, and I'm like deeply upset by that.
Well, let me
This
clarify.
is important.
Okay, so
It doesn't go through. If you call.
Stop! Do not
Did
call
you
the
hit
number.
an
Stop
area
telling
code?
people to call the number. Just
Do the area
guys, we have to
code.
be so very clear with what we're doing. This is not a time for bits. This is not a time for nonsense. This is a time for action.
Okay.
I'm gonna dial one.
You got to do one and then the area
Stop
code,
doing
and then
serious,
57568.
guys. Hey, I'm starting to get mad.
Uh-oh.
All right, no, there are rules here, and you may not know it, but you're putting us in trouble. So please, just
7.
Too many cooks.
Okay.
Too many cooks.
All right.
Too many cooks.
All right, don't need rage-filled Abraham Lincoln. I preferred sad Abraham Lincoln.
What
If you can
numbers did
stop
DAN spell out? I think you need to dial those.
shouting at
Billy,
everybody.
I loved your bit earlier.
I'm just trying to
today,
get people
the
to
bet on-
register to vote
just
here.
Not
Right
right
down the
now.
middle.
Not right now.
You text Dan to 57568 or you visit headcount.org/Dan and we will get you a chance to win a sports vacation, okay? That's a pretty good prize. It's 2 tickets to any game you want to see, and that's going to get expensive for us depending on the one that you pick because there are plenty out there that are going to present themselves that are going to be big tickets. Travel and hotel, $500 for concessions and merch, and the more people you get to do this, text the word Dan to 57568, the more chances that you will have to win. I wanted to ask you guys from the football weekend, when you imagine the best feelings anyone felt playing football this weekend, I don't know how you top Justin Jefferson and Sam Darnold going for 99 yards from the end zone, but what would you nominate if I said to you, you have to rival that play with the feeling that a human being felt doing something great at football over the course of the weekend? Because I have a nominee from last night. I have a nominee that I don't believe a lot of people would choose, that I believe to be as great a feeling as a football player can feel, and I would put it right up there with what Justin Jefferson did. But where would you guys go with this conversation?
I think when you consider the narrative, the fact that they drafted his replacement and he hadn't even been there for 5 minutes, Kirk Cousins had to feel really good last night.
Do you think that all of that felt as good to him in the moment, right? Not going home at night, but in the moment, as C.J. Gardner-Johnson felt on 4th and short, catching Bijan Robinson in the hole and stopping him cold in a way I never see running backs stopped by a smaller safety. Like the physicality of that, and he certainly enjoyed it because it looked like as good a feeling as you can have in football to hit a man bigger than you so cleanly in the hole when he only needs to fall forward. And the running backs in that league all break that tackle, but that running back I expected to fall forward for a yard, and in a clean hole, he got stopped cold, plugged up by a safety who was smaller than him.
Yeah, I understand. That's got to feel great, but I must have missed the days of shows on First Take where they said, hey, Gardner-Johnson can't tackle the big one. when the Friday night lights are out there, when it's prime time, when the bright lights are on. Can this guy make a tackle in the hole against a running back? It's not. I mean, he can live pretty anonymously. When he checks Twitter, he's not going to receive that one criticism. Kirk Cousins, when it's a primetime game, is the butt of all the jokes. It's a narrative that is actually, when you look at it in his most recent results, is kind of unfair to him because he's actually kind of turned that around from a win-loss perspective. But he and Drake London and his offense was a reason why they pulled that game out and left that Eagles crowd totally shell-shocked. It was like, when you consider what the narrative is about these athletes, it was like the most unlikely guy to do that, Kirk Cousins. And he did it, and I'm sure that flight back felt great.
If we're saying who feels the best leaving the stadium after this week's games, I'm going Aiden Hutchinson, 4.5 sacks.
He lost, though.
Not only did he lose, after the first quarter, he only got a sack and a half. Like he had 3 sacks in the first 11 minutes on the game. He was on pace to break Strahan's record in the game.
I'd venture to say Baker left that game feeling better about himself and his performance. The fact that he navigated that from Aiden Hutchinson.
I don't know if the rest of you watched the way that the Jacksonville game and the Detroit games played out, but those were disasters for the losing team. When you see, in the case, the Bucs are going to get a lot of credit for beating the Lions, but 1-7 in the red zone when the Lions had 400+ yards and 450 plus yards and only ended up with 16 points. I know the Bucs are going to get credit for winning that game, but 1-for-7 in the red zone. I mean, come on. That's dreadful. And it's not what the Lions are expected to do this season. And Jacksonville had a ton of short circuiting and was playing against a Cleveland team that did plenty wrong, that deserved to lose that football game.
Has Trevor Lawrence won a game since like Thanksgiving?
He's 1-7 in his last 8, I think. Oh. And I'm not even sure if he played in that one. I think they're 1-7 in their last 8, and I'm not sure if he played in the one that they won.
All right, it looks like our state maps are being close to fully baked. Let's go to Steve Kornhacki for a play-by-play on Stugotz's map.
Thanks, Mike. Things are going really well out here as Stugotz is honestly nailing this map. Some of my favorite spots on this map, we have some Carolinas right over here. Some Carolinas, obviously Sirianni fired where Pennsylvania should be. But if you look at sort of the middle of the United States, we have Big Ten country right up here. The Heartland, a beautifully drawn heart by Stugotz. Big 12 country just sort of leaking down into the Lone Star State.
He's good.
Canton right here in the middle. And, of course, we have several different islands here in the United States. Several different islands. Of course, the Revis Islands, a collection of islands over here next to Gilligan and Rhode Island. And, of course, down here in the bottom left, Long Island. Stugotz has long celebrated Long Island, and that's where he believes it is on the United States map. But all that said, Dan, we do have some voter info coming in, people who have taken action through our website, headcount.org/Dan. As of 10 a.m., over 1,000 people had taken action on our site, 21% of those coming from our home state here in Florida. And how about this? Of our registers that were 4% or more of a share of the people who have taken action, 5 of our top 7 states are swing states, Dan. You had Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Michigan with at least 4%.
Florida's a swing state.
Florida can be a swing state if you lean into the Le Batard lean, Dan. That's what folks in the polls are not taking into account, the Le Batard lean. It's an opportunity if people continue to take action today, continue to take action. We look at this board, we continue to take action. You may just see the Le Batard lean affect the 2024 election. So everybody be sure to go to text 57568. Text Dan to 57568. Dan, back to you.
You were born to play this role as Steve Kornhacki. Pablo does not have a Kornhacki to guide and hold his hand here. Pablo, it looks to me like you're losing. It looks to me like Stugotz's map is exceptional so far. How are you doing up there in New York?
I feel pretty good. Whatever this is here, I don't know if that's a me problem or a them problem. I don't really know what's in between.
The middle of the country.
This is perfect. A Harvard guy not caring about middle America.
Look, I drew arrows: Indiana, Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I got them. Identified Vancouver, British Columbia as a bonus. Are there bonus points here? Alberta, Canada. Identified that, the province of Alberta. The San Juan Islands was not on the map, but they should be. They're a sort of just like small group of land masses where I went whale watching for my bachelor party, and I grew an orca.
Okay.
Off
that
of
was
Washington State.
Unnecessary.
Right there.
Yeah, unnecessary bonus information.
Overcompensating.
How is his map looking though? How do you, because Stugotz has the heartland. I don't know where Stugotz put Rhode Island, but he made it an actual island. And is it near Revis Island, which I think those are the Bahamas that he was.
No, it's
the
Hawaii.
Caribbean. The Caribbean.
The Bahamas.
It's
the Caribbean.
Well, I mean, it's confusing, but it's Hawaii. Also, we don't have Great Lakes on this map. And that was just our own incompetence.
That was Cuba, I think, that he made Rhode Island, or did he make Revis Island? Is what he made Cuba? Okay,
it's also still Hawaii.
It's still Hawaii. It's just in a different place. You're gonna
repositioned
have to get past this one.
Again, I will remind you to text the word Dan to the number 57568, 57568, or visit headcount.org/Dan to register to vote or check your registration status and for a chance to win a sports vacation. We will get back to our regularly scheduled sports programming in a moment. Steve Kerr is going to join us in about a half hour, but I wanted to talk to Ari Berman here of Mother Jones Magazine because he's a national voting rights correspondent and he's the award-winning author of Minority Rule. It's a book about voter suppression, anti-democratic methods that are in our midst, and I want to thank Ari for being on with us here because it seems like a dangerous time with a lot of garbage in it that feels wildly unethical, illegal, and I'm going to say un-American, even though maybe it's terribly American. I'm not even totally sure about the history of this. I don't know that I could call it anti-American if I'm just hanging on to an ideal instead of facts, but Republicans in Georgia seem to be laying the groundwork to not certify the election if Kamala Harris wins. So, Ari, thank you for being on with us. And just how dangerous do you think these times are for some of this stuff that is happening? And is it American, distinctly American, or is it un-American to sort of gerrymander and tamper with voting the way that we are?
Hey, Dan. Well, thanks so much for having me on. And honestly, it's both. It's both very American and very un-American at the same time, because this country has a history of doing a lot of really fucked up things when it comes to voting, preventing a lot of people from voting for a long time, but at the same time, expanding voting access. So there's been this push and pull throughout our history between democratic and anti-democratic forces. And we're once again at that kind of tipping point today.
I will remind any of the 63 million unregistered Americans who happen to be listening or watching today to text Dan, the word Dan, to 57568 or visit headcount.org/Dan if you want to get involved with this process. Ari, I am told, because we are top 5 list obsessed, that you have a top 5 list of the ways that the American voting system is screwed up. Does that top 5 list, is it just 5 or do you have some outside looking in?
I have some outside looking in. Excellent. And yeah, I brought a few top 5 lists because I wanted to make a good impression on my first time on the show. So the first OLI is that this is one of my favorite stats.
Can I help you real quick, just so that you know, because you haven't done this before and you want to make a good impression. Whenever it is that you give us that fact, you have to lay out so our erstwhile executive producer can hit a sound of fanfare to celebrate what it is. So,
okay, all right. So let's celebrate the first one. Okay, so the first one is, in Texas, you can vote with a gun permit, but not a student ID.
Okay, he already screwed it up. Yeah. Well, that's his fault.
That's the producer.
He killed the punchline right there.
All right, let's try it again.
It's a bit wordy.
All right, I want me to say it again.
He's down the middle, Chris, and he's scared of all of these topics.
Tighten it up.
He doesn't. No, this is not his fault.
Get it right, get it tight, man.
It's Chris's fault, not Ari's fault.
Okay, I'm going to say it again.
Sorry, Ari.
In Texas, you can vote with a gun permit, but not a student ID. Okay, that really says it all.
That is bleeped up.
That's worth a bleep. The second one that didn't quite make the cut. Because of a past felony conviction, 4 million Americans can't vote. So these are people that have already served their time, paid their debt to society, yet they still can't cast a ballot. And the craziest part of that stat is that includes 1 in 5 black men in Tennessee who can't vote because of a past felony conviction. Okay, the third thing that didn't quite make the cut. Since the 2020 election, 28 states, so more than half the country, have passed new laws making it harder to vote. So Trump tries to overturn the election. He fails. What do states like Florida and Georgia turn around and do? The first thing they do is change their voting laws to make it harder to vote, just like the former president wants them to do.
How common is that throughout American history? That just what you're talking about, the corruption and the overtness of what you just said.
Unfortunately, it's very common because if you look at most states at the founding of the country, only white men with property could vote, meaning that Black men couldn't vote in most states. Women couldn't vote in any state except for New Jersey briefly. Many poor white people who didn't own property couldn't vote. Native Americans weren't even considered U.S. citizens. So for a lot of our country's history, a lot of people couldn't vote. And that's a sad reality. Now, we've done a lot to improve that, but we still have these legacies of voter suppression, of racism in voting that are still with us today.
Number 5.
Okay, I'm getting to the list. Despite the fact that you're more likely to be struck by lightning than to commit voter fraud, 35 election officials in 8 states have refused to certify election returns since 2020.
You guys really
So
have your timing
basically, thank you. They're already laying the groundwork for what Trump wants in 2024. We've already seen it in other elections since 2020, that even though there's no evidence of fraud in the system, you're seeing local and state officials not certify election returns. And that's what makes me really nervous about what might happen in 2024 in places like Georgia.
Number 4.
Okay. The United States is the only major democracy in the world where you can lose the popular vote and still win the Electoral College. This is a crazy thing that I think a lot of sports fans would have a big problem with. Second, that's not all. 5 of 6 conservative justices on the Supreme Court were appointed by Republican presidents who lost the popular vote and then were confirmed by senators who were elected by a minority of Americans.
All right, Ari, you really screwed that one up, Ari. You really screwed up the timing of that. We don't know if that was number 4 and number 3, or if it was a double prong.
Okay, that was a long number.
It was a double prong number 4.
Yeah.
It was a long number 4. Okay, I have a short number 3, though. Number 3. Out of 172 countries that are recognized as democracies, the United States ranks 139th in voter turnout. So we like to think of ourselves as the Yankees when it comes to democracy, but right now we're more like the White Sox.
Oof. They've won 3 in a row, though. The White Sox have won 3 in a row.
Okay, so there's still hope for American democracy.
Getting hot at the right time.
Don't look now.
Number 2.
Number 2. 80 million Americans who are eligible to vote in 2020 did not vote. So we had the highest turnout in 120 years in 2020, since 1900, and even still, 80 million Americans didn't participate.
We're kind of a disaster, huh, Ari?
I mean, it could be a lot better. Yeah, you'd like to think that if you had the highest turnout in 120 years, you still wouldn't have 80 million people decide not to vote. Okay, number 1, it's National Voter Registration Day, so this is the most important one. 231 million Americans are eligible to vote, but 63 million Americans, a full 27% of us, still aren't registered to vote.
Look at sad Abraham Lincoln back there. He's just so down on America and people and life in general right now. You would think that the worst moment of his life was the last one of his life when he was assassinated in a theater, but nope, it's looking that it is right now.
It was when I came on the show. That was
right.
the low point for him.
It was the Ari Berman segment. I will tell you again, the name of the book is Minority Rule: The Right-Wing Attack on the Will of the People and the Fight to Resist It. Let's get to your other top 5. What's the other top 5 about?
Okay. So after I just
Another
depressed the hell
one?
out of everyone,
Okay.
I do have some good news. All right. The top 5 ways to make it easy to vote, even when it seems really hard. Okay. Number 5, drop off your ballot in any of the 30 states that are listed on screen. I'm told we have a graphic for this. Perfect. So request a mail ballot, drop it off. That's an easy way to do it. Number 4, vote by mail in one of the 28 states with so-called no excuse absentee voting. That means places like Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Florida. This is really important because a lot of polling places have been closed in recent years. There's long lines in voting, so voting by mail is really simple. Everyone's trying to make it a Democratic conspiracy. Dan, in Florida, this started out as a Republican idea. It was the Republicans who were pushing vote by mail because their voters were more rural, they were older, vote by mail was more convenient for them. So there's nothing inherently Republican or Democrat about voting by mail.
Number 3,
vote early in every state but Alabama, New Hampshire, and Mississippi. So in 47 states, you can vote early. This is really important because we vote on a Tuesday in November because that's when farmers used to bring their crops to market in the 1800s. It's a very antiquated system, so voting early gives people a lot more time to do it. They can do it on weekends, other times when they're not working, especially because Election Day is not a national holiday. Number 2, register to vote online in 42 states or become automatically registered to vote in 24 of those states. So the first step towards voting is getting registered, and you can do it pretty easily in most states in the country. And then the last thing is register and vote on Election Day itself. This is kind of like the one-stop shopping for voting. States that have Election Day registration have the highest turnout in the country because you can register and then vote at the same time. That makes the process work really easy. It's worked for a lot of years very well in places like Minnesota, where Tim Walz is from, and hopefully that's something that every state could eventually adopt.
Excellent information. I will tell you that you can find more of his reporting at motherjones.com, and the book is Minority Rule. You need to get better, though, at it's not the last thing, it's number one, Ari. You go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's
Top
not
five,
and
yeah.
the last
Right,
thing, like I'm petering out. Like I mean, come on, like get it right. If you want to be invited back in order to do this again, I need you to know how the top 5 stuff works, okay?
Got it. You got some homework for next time.
Thank you. We appreciate the help and the work, the reporting and the writing. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
A reminder to everyone listening, again, including the 63 million unregistered Americans, as he said, 63 million unregistered to vote. Text the word Dan to 57568 or visit headcount.org/Dan to win a legitimate sports vacation. It is a game of your choice, and there's going to be a good game you're going to want to go to. Tickets are going to be hard to get. You get a chance to win a sports vacation. Steve Kerr will be here in a little bit, and we're going to be live the rest of the way as part of National Voter Registration Day. I wanted to get to a couple of things, though, with you, Stugotz, because today is moving very fast. I think Keegan-Michael Key, I think that's going to be newsworthy, what he said earlier in the show about the idea that he and Jordan Peele are open to the idea of a reunion and have talked about it, however lightly. I think people are going to get very excited about that.
It's going to come off very cynical, but don't you think that's the first question everybody asks him? Like, I don't think there's like a week that goes by in that gentleman's life where he's not asked, hey, when are you guys getting back together? I imagine he's addressed it on the record plenty.
I'm sick of your attitude today, Lincoln. Like, I'm really bothered.
Just like, hey, guys, do you think? I think I made news asking the most obvious fucking question ever.
I didn't say I made news.
He's
I
just
said,
telling you it's old news.
I said
that's all.
he made news, not me. So,
yeah, you should send him. Yeah.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, asshole.
Wow.
Old, honest asshole Abe. Can't help but be honest at all circumstances, at all times. Can't help it.
Why don't you ask Kerr what it was like to win a gold medal?
Shot for your life with Kerr, huh? I
Yes,
can't wait.
Kerr is going
That's
to be here.
exciting.
I know, it is.
I know what shot for your life was with Lincoln.
Too soon, Dan.
I mean, God.
It's too soon, asshole.
Stugotz, I have what has been around here my favorite Donald Sterling sound that we have had, but I have in front of me something that I think might rival in terms of funniest things to have happened
Get
around
outta here.
Donald Sterling. I'm going to leave
No
it up.
way.
All right, I'm going to leave it up to you whether it could possibly even come close to this bit of sound, which was Donald Sterling in public relations crisis mode going to Anderson Cooper ostensibly to fix the calamity that is at his doorstep, which is an owner's about to have his team taken away because he's a horrible racist. And he goes into PR spin mode with Anderson Cooper, and this is what happens during the interview.
What has he done? Can you tell me? Big Magic Johnson, what has he done?
Well, yes, he's a business person.
He's got AIDS. Did he do any business? Did he help anybody in South L.A.?
Well, I think he has HIV. He doesn't actually have full-blown AIDS. But
Well, what kind of a guy goes to every city, has sex with every girl, then he catches HIV? And is that someone we want to respect and tell our kids about? I think he should be ashamed of himself.
Again, that was him in PR spin crisis mode.
Yeah, so you're saying you have something better than that?
I think to rival it.
Potentially.
I don't think it's possible to have something better than that, but I think I have something that might rival it. Unfortunately, I don't have the audio or the video. There is audio and video of what I'm about to read, but we don't have it right now. It's a deposition from a lawsuit against his former mistress, okay? And so this is the quote from Donald Sterling. Well, I fool around sometimes. I do. When a girl seduces me and tells me all of these hot stories and dirty things and tells me how much she wants to suck on me and takes my shoes off and licks my feet and touches me. When I'm in a limousine, she takes all of her clothes off. The limo driver said, "What is going on?" And she started sucking me on the way to Mr. Kuhn's house, and I thank her for making me feel good. And then the attorney says, "Sir, the question was, is this your handwriting?"
Jesus.
I have to hear Donald Sterling say it.
I know.
To be honest,
No, we don't.
Right now, it's just your words, Dan.
Yeah,
I know.
but right now, the first sound that he played with Anderson Cooper still
Agreed.
stands until I hear Sterling say it.
Agreed.
Right,
Let's see if we can find that deposition
I'm
sound.
fine never hearing any of that again.
Okay. Come on, Billy. That was that. The attorney saying the question was, "Is this your handwriting?" That sounds like something that's made up. That sounds like something a comedy writer would write. That's a former NBA owner.
He's got AIDS.
Stugotz, speaking of funny, I want you to analyze the following.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the Bengals. The Bengals have started slow in recent seasons. I don't think it's just a magical ability a football team has to not try hard to win the first 2 games of the season and then figure out how to win after that.
They've done it the last 3 seasons.
Correct.
0-2 is what they've done.
That just doesn't mean that they'll always be able to do it. I don't think.
Right.
But as Mike mentioned the other day, they play Washington next. So perhaps they'll be able to fix it right away. But the thing that I find funny about that is I don't think anyone noticed or cared outside of Cincinnati. But the NFL said the other day that in the Patriots game that the Bengals lost at home, hey, that whole thing on the touchdown from Gesicki that was overturned, we got that wrong. That should have been a touchdown. And instead of losing 16-10, you should have won 17-16. Never mind about that, 0-2. That's kind of amazing. I mean, we analyze this sport a lot. For that to happen quietly and for only one fan base to care at all about it doesn't seem terribly fair that the league is saying, yeah, we got all the technology in the world, got that one wrong. It doesn't help anyone to admit after the fact that you got that one wrong.
You don't think it helps the guys in the Bengals locker room to know the NFL thinks they won the game? I mean...
I do think it actually helps a little bit in that the fluky aspect of the season is how we've lost these games, both on bad calls. We should be 2-0.
Correct.
So turning this around is a matter of just playing our game.
Right. 2 moral victories. I mean, essentially.
I don't believe the Bengals have 2 moral victories.
I don't think you can have moral victories if you're relatively fresh off a Super Bowl.
But I do think it feels good after losing a game to have somebody, anybody, especially a league official, tell you, hey, you should have won. It would help me. It would. I'd feel better about it.
I think it ends up feeling almost worse. That a league official is confirming you should have won, but you're not allowed to win, and forevermore history will record that you were a loser that day, and it won't record that it's because we got it wrong. It will always look like you got it wrong.
If an NFL official says to you after the game you should have won the game, you should win the game. How's that sound? Like, if they have the audacity, now I'm coming back to your side of things here, Dan. If you have the audacity, listen, losing is tough enough. What you don't need to hear after you lose is, hey, you should have won.
Well, what happened? You just had the opposite.
You made a good point.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that was then, this is now.
Okay.
I mean,
one thing it just further confirmed for me with that performance at Arrowhead is that the Bengals, for whatever reason, they just bug Kansas City. And that's why if anyone challenges them in that conference, it's got to be Cincinnati because there's something about them. Personnel has changed, but Burrow just finds a way to keep his team in that.
Not just that, it's doing it without Chase getting meaningful numbers, and it's throwing a bunch of times to Gesicki.
Like no T. Higgins,
no
too.
T. Higgins, yeah.
Do you have music for me that will allow me to go out to Steve Kornhacke again?
Huge updates coming in here at the 11 o'clock hour, Dan, as actions continue to take place on our efforts for National Voter Registration Day. Over 2,000, headed toward 3,000 folks have taken action by texting 57568 with the word Dan or going to headcount.org/Dan. And as we take a look at the numbers, interesting as the percentages lean different ways. Florida accounted for 21% of the actions taken. That's down now to 17.4%. And Florida's going to be the runaway victor in this competition when we're talking about pure number of actions taken as we're here in Florida. But if you're looking for the next 3 on our list, it's Texas, New York, and Ohio, and they're all hovering right around the same place. Ohio has actually taken a move up. Those 3 states separated by just 16 total actions thus far. So if we're competing for second place and you're in one of those 3 states, you're going to want to text that number. But as always, Dan, we know out on the West Coast, they're waking up a little bit later. You see the time difference. You see the effect. Our quickest riser from the 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock hour is the state of California, as Stugotz has marked Big Ten country. They now have over 5% of our actions taken. They were down at just 45 people registered, now 131. And of course, Dan, we got to look at the people who have not taken action thus far, who have not participated with these actions of texting 57568 with the word Dan. Those with under 5 individuals having participated thus far: West Virginia, Rhode Island, Idaho, Wyoming, New Hampshire, North Dakota, and Hawaii. So folks in those states, get the ball rolling. You do not want to finish last. And let's remember to register to vote or check your voter registration using everything on our screen right now. You can check out that information or our social media page at Le Batard Show. Dan, let's send it back to you. We'll have an update in just about an hour.
Just 63 million more people to go, Dano.
All right, you didn't bother with any of the math there that would have made that joke good.
We're putting a dent in the number here.
62,998,000 more to go.
Making a dent, we are.
It's still to Steve Martin was prop comment. It's still early in Hawaii. It's still early in California. Wait till they wake up. We'll get that extra 62 million, and we will round
from the
it
Revis
out.
Islands.
Yes.
How's it early in Hawaii if it's right under Florida?
It's a good question. I don't know how it got under Florida. I thought that was Cuba there. I can't believe that Stugotz's map is better than Pablo's map. The heartland is there.
Yeah.
Big Ten country. What were you proudest of on your shitty map there?
Just noticing the very top above the United States, it just says hockey.
It just right over the border above the United States. I'm pretty sure that's just woodland.
Calgary.
I'm pretty sure that is all just forest fire, but it says hockey there. Yeah, that's what it says.
Not Lord Stanley, because no one in Canada has won the cup in years. I mean, how about they win a cup? I mean, they invented the game. Anyway, back to you, Dano.
Thank you. I can see that Steve Kerr is getting ready to join us here. So, Billy, you're smiling maniacally.
No,
is it because
we're registering so many people to vote?
Is it because Fangio is flailing and failing in Philadelphia? You've had a hatred for that old man for a while.
That's not fair. I have not hated him for a long time. I'm not rooting for his downfall, but man, he's not good.
I love Belichick just roaming around stadiums. This is fantastic. I am telling you, man. He's going to get that job. Philadelphia.
Is he doing that? He's just walking around the stadiums? Because I saw him on the Manning cast with earpieces in, so I wasn't sure where he was. He's just in Philadelphia?
Yes, yeah.
Also, on the Monday night countdown show, they simply couldn't stop saying tits.
Huh?
This man is a champion, and I've been an admirer of his for a lot of different reasons for a long time. I shouldn't be surprised that he's been so good at leadership, but he has been spectacular at leadership. Steve Kerr is with us, and I appreciate, Steve, that you've made the time on this day, National Voter Registration Day, to participate in what we're doing here and allow us to ask you some questions. You spoke at the Democratic National Convention recently, and I was scared on your behalf because that's a different task. Well, no matter how confident you are, that's a totally different thing than anything you've done before. So thank you for joining us, and take us through there how it is that you felt about all that, because I imagine it was a little bit scary.
Yeah, and well, first of all, thank you guys for what you're doing today. I think it's really important to get everybody registered, as many people as possible. So appreciate the work you guys are doing. Yeah, that was an interesting experience, and they asked me to do it a couple days before I went on, and I really gave it a lot of thought because I knew I was going to take a lot of heat for it. But I wanted to make sure I got the right message across, what was most important to me. And, after thinking about it, I realized, hey, they asked me for a reason. They think it matters that I speak my mind. And so I decided to do it. And it was very nerve wracking, but I'm glad I did it. Met a lot of great people. There was a lot of great energy in the building, and a lot of fun to be part of.
Did you get a lot of heat though?
I got some emails, but generally speaking, the vast majority of people who contacted me were very supportive. I wanted to make sure my message was one of unity, especially coming off the Olympic gold medal performance by the team in Paris. I just think the political rhetoric, really the national rhetoric in a lot of platforms is just so ugly these days and divisive. And so I just wanted to make sure my message was a reminder to people that, when we come together in a lot of different ways, we can accomplish a lot. I think it applies to sports. It applies to our country too. And we need to come together.
I'm going to read some of the tweets to you right now. Steve Kerr is a clown. Steve Kerr is a moron. Steve Kerr is a coward. Steve Kerr was born in Lebanon. We should deport this human degenerate right back there. Go to hell, Steve Kerr. It's not that I don't like you. I hate your guts. I hope I read a headline about your premature demise with 5 exclamation points.
That's why I got off of social media several years ago. Ignorance is bliss, Dan.
When you mention nerve-wracking, how does it compare to other times you've been nervous? Like, where does it rank in the times that Steve Kerr has been most anxious about doing something?
Well, I mean, I just felt like a fish out of water because it was, such a different realm for me. I'm used to game nerves, and those actually feel good. Competing in sports is so much fun because you have to lay it on the line and you do everything you can to win, but you kind of know you're going to lose your fair share. There's going to be nights where you don't sleep because you think about a decision you made that backfired, all that kind of stuff. But that's the life that I chose, and I love it. It's the losing is part of it, the stress is part of it, but the political spectrum is different. The setting was different. Having teleprompters on either side of me. Addressing the crowd, knowing that there were millions of people watching on TV. It was definitely nerve-wracking, but it was, like I said, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I spoke my mind. I'm glad I got the message across that I wanted to get across. I think I just want to encourage everybody to vote, to get out and vote in November, because that's what our democracy is based on, is people's participation.
I want to ask you some basketball questions here. I'm at a genuine loss, okay? When Kevin Durant joins your team, I'm assuming winning is fun. These guys are going to dominate forever. This will never come apart. How will it ever come apart? And then it comes apart, just like it did with the Heat, because evidently it's more grueling than I understand. But why isn't winning enough for that to have been fun forever?
I just don't think life works that way. It's everybody is on a path, on a journey, each individual player, and to try to keep teams together is so tricky because there are just a lot of circumstances that occur. And so no matter what sport, you mentioned the Heat, our team with the Warriors, it sounds great. Just keep it all together for forever. But things get in the way. The thing for me is those years were incredible. I loved coaching Kevin. I think that last year that he was here, he was visibly wanting to move on. We could feel it, and that was his choice as a free agent. Everything that he gave to us and brought to us, we will be thankful for that forever. And, it's been really fun to coach him a couple of times since, both in Tokyo as an assistant coach for Pop, and then, in Paris a couple of months ago. So Kevin's an incredible player, and I'm blessed to have been able to coach him.
Steve, that's interesting. In what ways, in that final year, in what ways could you feel him wanting to leave?
I think, just you can tell when somebody's happy or not. And part of my job as a coach is to try to connect with each individual guy to understand their story, their set of circumstances, what they're trying to accomplish. And it was obvious to everyone that Kevin just needed a new challenge. He was looking to move on. And I give him a lot of credit. He tried everything he could at the end of that season to come back, and came back in the finals and literally gave his Achilles to our team. So I still feel awful for him in that regard, that he had to go through that injury. But the way he's come back has been amazing. And again, it's just life. This happens in every business and relationships. Sometimes, people just need to move forward, and it's really not as big of a deal as, as it might seem.
You say things get in the way. What one thing gets in the way the most? I think every player, every person has a path, has a journey, and they have to really be comfortable with the direction of that journey. I think for me that it was as simple as that group was running its course. It's not that much different from the Bulls back in '98, the last dance. Teams, when you go to the finals year after year after year, it's exhausting, and it takes a toll on everybody. And so it was totally normal to me to see a team kind of run its course and have to take a new shape. That's not an answer to my question about what gets in the way the most of you being able to do your job. Everyone has a journey is not an answer to that question.
I went to speak at the DNC because I know how to give political answers.
Okay, I just didn't. I was genuinely curious.
He's better than ever.
I mean, he's great. That's and he does know how to do that. When you think of what Phil Jackson did for you in terms of teaching leadership, I've heard you talk about some of this stuff, but what did he do to you that you make sure not to do because you didn't like it?
Literally nothing. I think Phil is a genius. I think he is one of the greatest coaches in any sport. What I learned from him is how to give everybody their space and their freedom, but at the same time maintain your authority as the leader of the team, and give the team the vision and be unwavering in terms of the team's goal. And Phil was a master at balancing that. We all know the Dennis Rodman story. There was so much upheaval with that team, and Phil just let everybody be themselves, and yet never wavered from the path. And so that's what I learned from him and have tried to adopt here.
I don't know if you can see that we have Honest Abe in the back as ombudsman here, so I need an honest answer for this question, or Abraham Lincoln will rain down fiery judgment on you. What is the angriest that you have been at Draymond Green?
Well, there's a lot of examples. So that's...
Oh boy.
Yes, I would imagine so. But what's the first one that jumps to mind?
I think that for sure the Jordan Poole incident. Draymond and I are a lot alike in many ways. People probably wouldn't see that from the outside, but we're both kind of maniacal competitors, and we've lost our minds with each other during games over whatever, disagreements about strategy. But he crossed the line with Jordan, and he knows it. He knew it immediately, and it made that season incredibly difficult for everybody. And that story has been regurgitated many times. But that's that's probably the time I was most angry. And there's your headline. You guys can tweet this.
Well, thank you. Yes.
I see your team back there right now.
Well, that's Honest Abe is giving you a thumbs up there. No.
For honesty.
For honesty.
Yes.
There's your headline. Steve Kerr, in exchange for your vote, he'll give you a headline because he knows that any question about Draymond is going to get aggregated.
All right, Steve, we like to play a game around here. It's called Shot for Your Life, okay? Shot for Your Life. You need to choose one guy to take a shot. If he hits it, you live. If not, you're dead. I mean, it's a little bit dramatic, but here we go. Here are your choices. Steph Curry or Larry Bird. Shot for your life.
Steph Curry.
Wow, you are dead.
He did not stop. He didn't hesitate. Of course, he chose the greatest shooter ever. It's easy.
That was the easiest question I've ever had to answer. No disrespect to Larry Bird.
That's up to Larry.
Steve, thank you for being on with us. Don't be a stranger, sir. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Steve.
I am told that we have a video of some sort that I have not seen. I'm going to go out to our special sad and rage-filled correspondent, Honest Abraham Lincoln. What is this video?
So, as you know, we're participating actively in a telethon for a good cause, just getting people involved in the democratic process, exercising their American right to vote. But we all know that this is important. How do we get people to actually do that? We tried incentivizing by putting on an incredible show for you and being super informative. Also, if you text 57568 to Dan, you have an opportunity to get a sports vacation.
You got that in reverse. You don't text that to Dan. You text Dan.
Sorry.
To
text Dan.
We should give Dan's number.
Yeah, what is your number, Dan?
Let's
text that, something to me. I'm just going to ignore it. It's just going to get lost. Don't text me
Truth be told,
anything.
I said the word incentivize, and I started getting really scared because I've been on like several Zoom meetings where they said, don't say that.
That's right.
So I'm not trying to do any of that.
But you were being honest, Abe. and
Being
you
honest.
Can't help it. You can't help it.
Every sentence should be preceded by truth be told. But we wanted to meet the moment, right? Anytime this country is facing something super important, any time of uncertainty, we always look to the most important people in the room to help guide us through that. Celebrities. Celebrities are the most important thing. We all know that. People wanted to get involved because they found out Taylor Swift is getting involved. Wow. So how does our show get star power to get you to check your status to vote? So what we did was we put out a signal and we got back an all-star cast. You remember how well received that We Are the World video was, and imagine all
we made our own?
Yeah, and the star power is astronomical. It's just huge star power, and we chose a royalty-free song to get you in the mood to check your status.
All right.
For spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Bigger than We Are the World.
Crushed. God bless America.
Special thanks to our all-stars, Montel Jordan, Michael Buffer, Kenny Mayne, and I think that was Stugotz. I could barely recognize it.
That will be bigger than We Are the World. I feel like that will spread throughout the country in a way that moves people. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are celebrities the most important thing? And Billy, I'm curious whether you got sucked into the Emmys at all. The award show is something I have lost interest in almost entirely.
Yeah. Same. I saw the Emmys were the other night, but also Sunday Night Football was the other night, and I was expecting to come in and just hear like all the hubbub and hullabaloo that I had missed the night before, and who won all the big awards and stuff. And like, I think award shows just aren't for me, and it could be because like the content that I consume is not, deemed award worthy by all of these different, groups or whatever that decide who wins these awards, but. Who won? Like, was this a good show? What did I miss? I feel like I missed part of pop culture, but I also don't really feel like I missed anything.
I feel like I get left behind when I see in the corner Mike and Jeremy can't stop talking about the MTV Music Awards. Like, I just don't care anymore about any of these.
I think I stopped like late last week.
I
stopped
Video
talking
Music
about
Awards.
it.
VMAs.
Yeah, I watched the Emmys on mute, which is that's not the way that you watch award shows, because I wanted to follow along, because I have to be way more judicious with the shows that I watch now because I have a lot less time and my daughter's totally hogging the TV. So
you just watch people walk up and accept their awards?
Well, I figure if someone's winning a bunch of awards, they're either really good in that show or that show is really good.
Did you have the closed captions on?
No, I would just wait because they put on the lower third, which would have been helpful for the We Are the World rendition of America the Beautiful. But I would see like, oh, Shogun's winning. Cool. Maybe I should see Shogun. And I would just kind of take mental inventory of that. Believe it or not, Sugar didn't win anything. I don't know what happened there. Maybe the people voting on the process didn't stick around to episode 6.5.
You ruined Sugar for me. I got 3 episodes in. I was trying to simply follow it to the 6th episode where there's the big reveal, and you ruined it. I tolerated the first 3 episodes of that, trying to get to 6 episodes for what you said was a totally shocking surprise. But because you gave up what the shocking surprise was, I gave up on Sugar.
I have to be honest. He's an alien.
What's Sugar?
It's a Colin Farrel show.
I was
on
asking
Apple.
myself that the entire time.
It was like I saw Sugar was about a Dominican baseball player.
No. So this is a noir detective who done it. There's a girl that's missing. Colin Farrell is super sexy, and there's human trafficking elements. And like, what is going on here? What is this cool society that Colin Farrell belongs to? Are these guys just trackers? And it turns out he's an alien.
What were you watching with volume on that day?
I was watching Sunday Night Football.
Makes sense.
But like of the 2, that one seems like the one you can watch on mute, right?
I saw the new Crow movie as well.
How was it?
Nah, not great.
Huh.
I got to be honest.
Wasn't it reviewed well though?
No, but it wasn't. And I still wanted to watch it. I still wanted to watch it because I loved the original with Brandon Lee.
Were you guys aware? This is something that I felt like I should have known when I noticed it, because I have a balcony and live near where birds are all the time. I had no idea. I just didn't know until bird parts ended up on my balcony that crows ate other birds. That's not something that I knew, that maybe I should have known from the movie.
They also carry souls to the afterlife.
But does the movie give that information? Is that commonly known knowledge that crows are that kind of carnivorous and that they are menacing beasts?
It's an odd flex to say I live where birds are.
Yeah, dead bird parts.
Yeah.
It wasn't a flex.
It seemed like it was. I mean, listen, it's not common knowledge.
That I have a balcony seemed like
I have unlimited dead bird parts.
I live amongst the birds.
Dead bird parts doesn't seem like
Wait
a
a
flex.
second. Are you in Springfield?
It seems, I don't understand how that could be a flex. Who am I flexing on?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
You don't have any dead
Balcony
bird parts on
birds.
your house. I'm superior. I am elite. I have dead bird parts on my house, and you don't. Like, you
what it sounded like.
You
kind
peasant.
Yeah, I mean,
you can skip it.
Birds don't fly everywhere, Dan. I mean, it's usually down by the beach somewhere.
Did any of you answer my question about whether or not you knew this? I understand you heard the elitism in me saying I have dead bird parts on my balcony. Did any of you answer the question I was asking, whether you knew or not that the crow is a thug and a carnivorous thug?
I don't know. Well, did you know that Shogun is apparently must-watch television? Because I learned that.
Should we be judging crows? I mean, maybe they're just doing what they have to do to get by.
Yeah,
they very
Birds
much
of a
are.
feather,
survive in advance.
Yeah, exactly
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Can't exactly order fast food if you're a crow. You have to do what you can with what you have.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're doing what they need to do to get by. I just didn't know it was something they did to get by, is all. I just don't think there are things I learn all the time from Ron McGill. I did not know that the bird is the closest thing that we have roaming the earth to the dinosaur.
It's not.
Well, what is?
Komodo dragon,
Oh,
obviously.
okay.
Or lizards of any kind. Come on, it's not a bird. That's silly. He just says these things because he knows. Ron's this animal expert that just says these things because he knows we're not animal experts, that he knows are going to go unchecked to see how silly he can make us look every week. And we just fall for it. Hook, line, and sinker every single time. Birds are not the closest thing to dinosaurs. That's a fact. Look at a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Right.
And then look at a pigeon. Please.
It's not,
Okay?
it's not a harebrained scheme from Ron McGill.
And also
Like,
look
this
under
is-
the ocean, okay? Because there's still things living down there that were alive in the time of dinosaurs, and that is a fact, Jack.
Alligators
Look it up.
give off dinosaur too.
Thank you.
Under the ocean?
Mm-hmm. Inside of it.
This is not a
What?
theory.
What's not a theory?
It's not a theory that birds are closely related to dinosaurs and more closely related.
Correct. It's
to
not
them
even
than
a scientific
lizards.
theory. It's so far
No,
off.
it's fact.
No, it's not.
Raptors.
Start of the day, start of the
Feathers.
day. It is your start of the day.
Big worms.
Start of the day,
Ooh, yeah.
start of the day.
Dennis Rodman.
It is your start of the day.
Cockroaches for sure.
Start of
No
the
doubt.
day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
I ask again, who dressed Moose Johnston?
This stat of the day is very funny to me. Kevin Fishbane recently tweeted, new Bears punter, Torre Taylor, by the way, the only bright spot for the Bears in that game. He looks really good, this punter. He got a text from Caleb Williams when he got drafted by the Bears saying, hey, you're not going to punt too much here. It's a boss move by Caleb. They're just saying, hey, you're not going to be used a lot here. Since that text, the Bears have punted on 11 of 16 possessions.
That's all he's doing.
I have a question for you, Stugotz, that I got to thinking about the other day when the Giants lost. The game of football, okay, I know that it's called football, but the kickers are doing something that is different from what everyone else on the field is doing. And I believe their value is disproportionate. I kind of hate that people who don't actually play the violent parts of football are so responsible for the results.
Right.
And when the Giants lost to the Commanders, scoring 3 touchdowns, but lost to a team that kicked 7 field goals, at least in part because they couldn't kick the extra points when their kicker got hurt, it got me to thinking that if you're going to make the foot part of football so disproportionately relevant, if the kicker gets hurt, you have to have a second option that's not an absurd one. If you're going to make it that important to kick a football correctly, when it seems to me a part of football that is different from all the other parts of football, if a kicker gets hurt, there has to be a situation that doesn't have the punter or the holder doing the important things in a way that decide a game, that the Commanders can't win late because they don't have anyone who can kick a field goal.
A relief kicker. I like the idea, but Dan, it can only be solved one of two ways. You either have to construct your roster where you have a backup kicker on that roster.
Right.
It's a waste of a roster
It
spot.
is a waste.
Or the NFL needs to add a roster spot.
Well, no, but my point is, okay, because this league makes so much money, and I know these things are collectively bargained, it's kind of stupid that the limits make it on roster spots such that any game gets decided that way, where you're allowing a kind of incompetence to come over all of the strategy and all the results, and you're rendering the collisions worthless because some guy who doesn't actually play football gets hurt because he can't kick an extra point.
Yeah, but I guess this goes against the spirit of the rule because you have an active roster, and NFL teams have just normalized this position doesn't get hurt, so we're not going to carry any backup insurance. Same as like the third string emergency quarterback. They have enough data to suggest that this would be a waste of a roster spot. So they've normalized you into thinking that this third left guard that also doesn't get into the game needs to be dressed when they all can do the math on their own and they can all hedge against that. They just choose not to.
My point is that roster spots are kind of a stupid construction that's just collectively bargained because they can't pay another person for the thing that I'm talking about, which is there are only 17 of these. They're really important games. Don't let one of them get decided because somebody's got a bad hamstring and can't do the job that they're being asked to do. The reason that there's a third emergency quarterback is they're not going to have a situation like we had in a playoff game where the 49ers, they shouldn't have a situation like we had with the 49ers and the Eagles where Christian McCaffrey has to play quarterback because they've run out of quarterbacks.
Like what you're doing, you're using your platform to openly lobby for something, but you're powerless in this situation. But there are real life things that are happening in your everyday life, Dan. I mean, you have bird parts all over your balcony.
Yeah,
Surely
yeah.
some sort of form of government can help you out here with this issue. But how can you complain about it if you don't get involved in the process? Are you even sure you can be involved in the process? When's the last time you checked your status, Dan?
When I voted.
I mean, how long ago was that? It costs you nothing. See, that is the type of cocksureness that I don't like from you. Just check your status to make sure. I mean, we live in Florida. Who knows what's going on? It's all sorts of craziness. Why don't you just go to this website and check your status, Dan?
Headcount.org is the website. Headcount.org/Dan is where you go to make sure you're good to vote.
What do you do with the bird parts that you find?
I take them and I wrap them in a Ziploc bag and I throw them down the trash chute.
Really?
That's
Ziploc
crime if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah, I think that's the best solution.
No, you call an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Trash bag would be probably a better situation. Right?
I want it sealed so that no one has to deal with the bird parts. But, I'm just flexing on folks.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
First world problem.
You don't have any bird parts on your balcony.
Oh,
You don't
balcony.
have.
I don't have birds.
You don't
Not
have
in the tax
carnivorous
bracket.
crowd. Only I have crows near my place near the beach.
What does that music mean?
That's Steve Kornhacke's music. Let's go out to him and get an update on how National Voter Registration Day is going for us.
Things are going great here on the Le Batard Show live stream for National Voter Registration Day. Dan, we now have over 3,000 folks who have taken action, gone to headcount.org/Dan or texted Dan to 57568. And the numbers are rolling in. 620 folks here in the state of Florida leading the pack by far. That's 17% of the share of our folks who have taken action. This is where things are getting tight in that race for second. New York has 232 folks who have taken action, but both Texas and California tied at 226. We saw that West Coast surge as folks have awoken this morning. Texas really needs to start getting momentum going before our final update of the day. But as we take a look at some swing states, we now have over 100 people in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina who have taken action using our live stream today, using our website, using our texting service. How about 179 people in the state of North Carolina, that's 4.9% of our share, have now taken action. Dano, that's a swing state. 179 people could potentially swing things one way or another. We may be looking at going from a Le Batard lean to a Stugotz storm. Dan, back to you.
Okay, never call me Dano again.
What do you mean?
Tony does it.
Let me make
60 million to go, Dano.
Make that clear. I'm going to rain down dead bird parts on all of
It
you.
was 3,000 Stugotz, not 3 million.
Yes, Stugotz, your math is pretty dreadful. Not surprisingly.
Can you believe we got Michael Buffer? That was so cool.
Is that like a cameo thing?
Definitely
How did that
not.
happen?
No, we just like, hey, Buff, the stuff. Hey, we're doing something good for the say less.
I reached out. You guys will find this funny. I can't reveal some of the people that I reached out to where I'm just like, hey, can you just read a line of the Star Spangled Banner or America the Beautiful? Can you do this? No, I don't want to get political.
Oh, boy.
It's so not political. It's America the Beautiful.
It was amazing. It really was. The number of people scared of even that.
Name names. Go.
Yeah, not going to really do
Can
that.
we, let's hear it one more time. We worked really hard on this all-star cast.
Yes, all right, fine.
Of people who said yes.
All right, it's going to be bigger than We Are the World, and I'm pretty sure that Michael Buffer was indeed a cameo that we paid for. As Mike Ryan said, we worked for a whole many minutes.
Discretionary
on this.
$300 budget.
Many minutes were poured into this, and who did we get?
For spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Did we
crush that right there?
You keep doing that.
God bless America.
Did we hide the cameo sign with just Moss voters?
We did
on Michael Buffer? Is that what we did?
I got to be honest, Abe. we definitely went through Cameo for some of those folks. However,
Kenny Mayne.
oh, you'll be happy to know this, and this is cool. This is actually really cool. Michael Buffer got the request and turned down the money because he thought we were doing some good work today. Yeah. Montel Jordan was like, "Give me that money."
I would like to go back for a second because it's been a busy day and there have been a lot of plates spinning. I really don't think that we enjoyed nearly enough how wonderful a moment this had to feel like for Pablo Torre on Celebrity Family Feud. I've told you guys before, I cannot help it. It is not something I am proud to admit, but I will almost always stop for at least a second if I'm scrolling on Family Feud. It's just easy candy to watch for a couple of seconds. And so Pablo really did have the dream scenario. We've had a couple of these around here with people that we care about. Katie Nolan's time on Jeopardy was like dramatic and moving, legitimately moving, that she would crush it on Jeopardy and crush everyone on Jeopardy and then make a mathematical mistake on the end of it that would make it funny. But Pablo gets nothing but feel good. You don't go into the last round needing 150 points and get the 150. Like, when do you ever see that happen? Somebody has failed spectacularly before Pablo here. I'm assuming it's Mina. I'm assuming that Mina got 47 points or whatever it was.
But, Dan, the key to the feud and winning that at the end is someone has to be bad. If the first person is bad, it means all the number one answers are still available.
I have not seen.
I saw it.
And Steve Harvey has not seen. A lot of people put up this point total. He nails it. This is the Stugotz. If you're playing Family Feud, this is the way you dream of it finishing. Like, when Pablo agrees to do this with Mina and everyone else, this is the best scenario possible. Let's play that clip again.
You need 37 points. Name a coin you throw into a fountain to make a wish. You said the penny.
Yes.
Survey said.
Oh my God.
Why?
So good.
That's an obvious answer, though.
It is.
And
it
to
is
answer your
obvious.
question from before, the leader of Pablo's team, David Chang, who's like a world-renowned chef, had some pretty questionable answers when he went. He was asked best breakfast food, and he said burrito.
I mean, he's right.
No, but like you have to be saying
Nobody's
what
wrong.
is, like you say eggs,
Right.
cereal, like bacon.
It's
like,
not what you think. It's the 100 people that are surveyed. It's what they think, Dan.
goose egg,
Yes.
that burrito answer.
Yes.
What was that second question that one of them got 0 points, the other one got like 3 points, and the answers were 2 and 4?
Oh, it was your neighbors. Rate your neighbors on a scale of 1 to 10, and they went both really low. The number one answer was 10.
Of course.
10, yeah.
You got to go. I would have gone 8 or 9.
Yeah,
there.
you pander.
Were you watching this?
Yes.
You have all the answers,
His
Chris.
wheelhouse, I mean.
Did you know what the result was while you were watching
No.
it? Oh,
No.
wow. So how did you experience it?
I was excited. I was like, wow, David Chang kind of, crapped the bed for Pablo. He has no shot here. But because Steve Harvey's played this enough, Steve Harvey knows. Right when Pablo got done with his answers, Steve Harvey's like, we got a chance.
Right.
We got a chance. Because you knew Pablo, we want to give him shit. He brought it. Like, the outside of the 4 for rating your neighbors, Pablo had great answers, all of them.
But you knew he had it, right? Like, Steve Harvey wasn't selling you on anything.
He needed
He tried to make it dramatic. You knew he had it.
He needed 37 on
But
that
Penny,
last one.
right.
And I felt like that was going to be the number one answer, but sometimes number one answers are like 35. So I thought he might get just short.
Steve Harvey, I believe, has replaced Richard Dawson as the greatest host of this show. But my favorite and most arrogant moment ever seen on Family Feud before this involves Richard Dawson. I'm going to recreate it for you now because this is how he did it. And yes, he knows what the answers are. And the last answer that was needed, and the question was, 100 people surveyed, most famous person in America. And the last answer given was Richard Dawson. Somebody gave Richard Dawson as the answer. And this is how he did it. Show me, bang!
That went better than I expected.
We are ending the show now, but you can do. I ate something.
Yeah.
I had to eat something. I ate some
he's
chicken.
hungry.
What do you want me to do?
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Swallow it.
I ate some dead bird parts from my balcony.
Okay.
You can text Dan 57568 at any time that you're listening to
Does
this.
it just stay in like your upper lip like a zin or what? How does this always happen?
Do you have like a little like hangout living room in
like
your
a
throat
dugout,
where
yeah.
food just stops before it's like, hey, before we go down to the stomach, let's all chill right here
Let's
for a
just
little
hang
bit.
out here. Let's just grab onto this uvula.
Dried chicken.
Let's make Dan sound like this.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Day of Liberty. Here with Stugotz. Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling.
What was that? Wait a minute.
The Warner Brothers
It's a
frog?
frog
Yes,
from
it
the
was,
WB.
yeah. Michigan J.
But what was the song? What were the lyrics?
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my baby.
It's a banger.
You could text the word Dan to 57568 at any point that you're listening to this within a 24-hour period of when it is that we did this textathon, telethon. That's not a telethon. We don't know if a telethon is about a television or a telephone.
24 hours from now or from when we started this
That's
morning?
a good question.
Yeah, right.
Billy, thank you for your contributions. It's
Or
always
is it
interesting
24 hours
when
from when
you
you're
decide
hearing it?
to
We just
get
wanna be clear.
involved.
We're
Yeah.
just trying, to make
Yeah,
sure
just
everyone
trying to
votes.
help. Yes, just trying to help.
Well,
I know
I mean,
both of you are.
we
Always.
are,
Yes,
really.
I know. I know.
Do you have an answer?
It's 24 hours from when we started.
Okay.
And you can do it at any point, but we have to go to Steve Kornhacke in a second to get our final tabulation for the day. But Honest Abe has just mentioned that he plans on doing something terribly dishonest with his now 4-year-old, 5-year-old daughter.
She's about to turn 5. Yeah, my little sweetheart Juliet. So she's very smart, and she's testing very smart. And so we wanted to reward her for doing so good at school. So I said, let's get you a surprise. What do you want for your surprise? She said a pet. Now, I'm not really at a place where I can have another pet. I'm not some highfalutin guy that has all these dead animal parts on my balcony. I live all right.
You guys never answered the question of whether you knew that crows did that. Like I'm still waiting for an answer.
I'm still trying to climb up to the point where I could show up to my balcony and have dead bird parts there.
Yeah. I'm still trying to put together top 5 crows of all time. I'm stuck with Sheryl Crow and Warren Cromartie.
Call me homie. And so I talked her down from dog to fish. I figured this is a good way to teach her about responsibility, and it's fine. It's cheap, low maintenance. And then I remembered, anytime I've tried this, it's been a handful of times I've tried this in my life, fish tend to die. It's hard to keep a fish alive for a very long time. So I tried explaining that to her. But this is the first pet that's, she's the mommy, she feeds it. And so we went a couple of days. It's been about 4 days, and my wife just texted me, baby Jelly died.
Oh, no.
Apparently Juliet not doing a great job feeding the fish.
Honestly, I kind of think it was me. I might have put too much conditioner in it.
Conditioner?
Yeah, water. You have to
hair?
you have to condition the water a little bit. I don't know.
Fish conditioner.
I thought I did.
No, hair conditioner for the fish.
Yeah, Pantene Pro V.
Yeah, they got a little toupee.
It's very vain.
Selsun Blue.
If anyone bought a fish with a toupee, it'd be Mike, though. We can
I would.
agree on that, right?
I would. What'd you think about that Ari
Tom
guy?
Capers.
What'd you think about that Ari guy?
Yeah, very suspicious.
I had to go through the internet and see that his hair is aged with time. So he's either very good or he just has longer sideburns, which can also give that effect, especially when you're looking
Ari
at
guy?
Great info from him.
Yo, he was fantastic. But a two-dimensional image kind of seemed a little... Anyways, so I'm trying to decide whether... Because we already got another fish. My wife went to the pet store. She's like, oh, I remember that sweet young lady that's presently at school. She came in with her dad. I remember the fish. Here, just take this fish. So now my wife and I are debating, what do we do?
Oh, yeah.
Do we tell her
Same
that
fish.
this is
Yeah.
a new fish?
No.
Or do we...
Well, how close does it look?
It's identical.
I mean,
it's identical
you've
to
got
Baby
to lie.
Jelly.
Yeah, just lie. Keep
gotta
lying.
lie.
No.
Yeah.
It's time for a life lesson. Juliet, sit down.
I think she knows already, man.
It's time to learn about life.
She knows? She's at
no,
school.
She can tell the difference between this new fish and this old
That's
fish.
Identical,
I
he
can't.
says.
She's testing smart.
She's a 5-year-old. You could just tell her. They do this thing where they change their look, and she'll believe you.
It's the same exact fish. It looks identical.
Well, what do you do with this fish if you don't switch it out? Then you just have another fish on your hands.
Yeah, well, the only struggle here is, do I tell her it's a new fish, or do I keep up a long con and say nothing and have her think that she's been so great with baby jelly and she's been super responsible?
Say nothing,
Just
Mike.
turn it around on her. What do you think?
Why create a problem? What are you making, a Tony Romo?
You're not creating a problem. You're teaching her a life lesson. Hey.
About death.
Sometimes things die. Yeah. And that's it.
When you're a terrible mother, your fish die.
Yeah, I don't want to. I think I'm going to lie to her.
It's too soon. I would suggest lying. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. If
lie or die.
If your 4-year-old's fish dies, do you replace it with an identical fish and then lie about it? I have a friend who tells a story that felt like an urban myth to me about a rabbit situation like that, where one of the parents came upon that sort of situation.
Rabbit died.
And they replaced. I'm not going to get the details on this story right because I've got dead bird parts in my mouth and I'm tired from what it is that we've done. But the funny part of the story is the replacing of the rabbit with an identical rabbit in a way that fooled one of the parents who had come home and saw a new rabbit in the cage that looked like the old rabbit and started screaming because they had buried the dead rabbit in the backyard. And
so it reanimated?
So the one
zombie rabbit?
One parent didn't know. They bought a new rabbit and one parent didn't know that the other parent was buying it. Corn Hackey, bring us home.
Time for one final update here on the Dan Le Batard Show as our National Voter Registration Day campaign is continuing on. Dan, some updated info from what you mentioned earlier in this segment. This campaign will actually go all the way up until Election Day, so you can register to vote by texting 57568 with the word Dan or going to headcount.org/Dan to check your voter registration status or register to vote yourself. And those sweepstakes will last. The first registration deadline is just in a couple of weeks, but some states you can register up until Election Day or even on Election Day. So as we round things out here on our live show, 4,159 folks have participated in our campaign. The folks at headcount.org didn't expect us to break 1,000. That was the mark. So fans, really great job by you of participating in everything we have going on today. And we've been following this race behind Florida that has 700 of those participants far and away in first. Who would come in second between Texas, New York, and California? Well, that West Coast surge has prevailed. California, 261 folks. You come in second place. In a lot of ways, that's first place, considering Florida's here in our home state. Of all of the swing states, we mentioned the 7 swing states earlier. How could the Le Batard lean factor in? 810 people taking action between those 7 states combined. 206 of those in North Carolina. That's the leader amongst the swing states, but I believe 5 of those had 100 or more, so great job by the swing state voters. And again, you can go to headcount.org/Dan or text 57568, the word Dan, to check your registration or register to vote. Dan, don't call me Dan-O Le Batard. We'll send it back to you.
We've found the role for you, Jeremy. Corn Hackey is there's a future in being Hackey as a sideline reporter for you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Over and out.